fucking stoked for finals. And you know what? I am saying finals. I'm not even worried about semis. T1's sweeping semis, dude. Fucking get on, JDG. I got some good news. In that, I spoke to my old friend who ran Twitch Korea and lives in Korea, and it turns out is Korean and is well connected in the Korean gaming esports space. And he, not 100% confirmed yet, but said he should be able to. He said he's pretty confident that he can lock me those tickets and is going to go with me. So I am currently locked, and I bought flights today, which I'll just refund if they don't win. So I'm actually doing it. I'm actually gonna go to Korea. I think I'm gonna IRL stream from Seoul. I think that'd be fucking sick, dude. IRL stream in Seoul, go to the finals, Faker wins, tattoo updated, just a fucking smorgasbord, dude. It's gonna be sick as fuck. Do they have tattoo parlors there? I assume so. I don't recall ever seeing. Yeah, there's gotta be, right? There's gotta be. I forgot if tattoos are like frowned upon or banned. Like, I think it might be a. The thing is, I know I've seen people with tattoos, so I'm a little confused. But and also I know there's some Korean tattoo artists. So whatever, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Tattoo updaters? Yeah, maybe I'll just get an update. You know, that's what it is. I'm getting an update. Actually, it's not a joke. Anyway, fucking exciting, dude. Exciting stuff. Like, I'm actually going to get to go to dude, I just can't lose semis. Oh, God. Oh, this whole fucking plan and dream, this whole fucking thing is going to be disaster if they lose semis. Did you see the GTA 6 news? What? Huh? What's the news? It's going to come eventually. Dude, that's what it is. Rockstar plans to announce. They planning to announce it. Great. Wow. Fantastic. We knew that. Was anyone seriously thinking, you know what? They'll never make a GTA 6. GTA 5 made $1 billion. They'll never make a sequel. Of course they are. The whole point is when. When? God damn it. The company plans to publish a trailer. Let's analyze this together, all right? Let's break this down. You know what's so funny? If you Google GTA 6, look at this. They refer to it as Untitled Grand Theft Auto game. Bro, we know the fucking title. We know the title, okay? They're not going to pivot after 5 into Grand Theft Auto fucking Guns of the Ocean. It's going to be fucking GTA 6, bro. Grand Theft Auto Infinite? Yeah, maybe. All right, here's the article. Here's the farticle, dude. Let's see. Rockstar Games plans to announce the highly anticipated Grand Theft Auto game as early as this week. The company plans to publish a trailer for GTA 6 next month to celebrate Rockstar's 25th anniversary. No video game has driven more fervor from fans and investors than GTA 6, expected to be the most significant entertainment releases of the decade. Its predecessor, GTA 5, sold 185 million copies and is the second best video game selling video game of all time, behind Minecraft. Get owned. Get owned by Notch, good sir. It's been working to clean up its corporate culture. After employees complained of burnout while making Red Dead Redemption. Well, there is a line between burnout and 10 years to make a sequel. Hopefully, chop, you know, it's been a while. We've been waiting on it. 15 years, really. I'm sorry. 15 years. A little crunch never hurt anybody. And that's factual. Where's my? You know, I got air. I got to turn the air on. Red Dead Online was so ignored by the devs, it's sad. Was it actively played? I guess so, right? I remember that stupid clan that was super into it. And when the fire's on, do you know if? Prove yourself and rise. Make them remember you. No, I did not. I just turned on the AC. Chat, why don't you believe me? I am not constantly going to the hallway for cocaine or coffee. I'm turning on the air conditioner. How's everybody doing? What's going on? Happy Tuesday. Wait, whoa. Someone leaked the GTA 6 map? And apparently, no, this is so stupid. People put together the leaks into a fucking hodgepodge map and they're mad that it's not as big as GTA 5. It's not. They didn't create it, I'm sure. We have no idea if it's true. What earbuds are these? I have no idea. They're the fucking Amazon cheapos, bro. That's all I need. Did Ari make this hat? Aiden hand sewed this hat. God rest his soul. That little twink could stitch. Let's see. Just found my Sigma tank top. You're the one. Thanks, Yeti. You're the sale. You and Who Dat were the two sales. Atrioc, once the due date is up, can we see you run the community contract? Yes. Yeah, I've got a fun, unique route that I made that I want to show. But I had restrictions on myself where I had to do something unique for all the things and get it under 2 minutes was my goal. And I did that. So yeah, I'm going to show it. I'll show it after everything's done. I think this is such a good contract. God, I'm really excited for Friday. Oh, someone's calling me. Oh, it's probably spam. What's the best time so far? You'll have to wait and see on Friday, motherfucker. Some people are submitting crazy last-second videos and not putting on the leaderboard. And do you know if win or die? Yeah. Atrioc, are you going to fully promise Dr. Battle? What's my promise to Dr. Battle? Is it to greet him when he comes into the chat? Because I'll do that. Counter-Strike investing stream? Possibly. The problem is I heard knives are crashing. I heard CSGO investing right now is probably the worst time to buy. It's literally, okay, so in investing, there is a phrase known as catching a falling knife, where something starts dipping and you go, buy the dip. You know, it's going to turn around and then you start to grab it and you buy it and then it keeps dipping. And it's like cutting your hand. That's what catching a falling knife means. I mean, it's going to keep crashing and you keep buying it as it drops. And it's funny because this is literally knives. This is literally catching a falling knife. So buying right now I would be opposed to it. Atrioc, are you going to restock the Enron hats? Yes. Unironically, yes. I was reached out to by the manufacturer. They want to run Enron hats again. They have a cool idea. There might even be a different color one. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's not a big announcement. We're going to do it, I think. Ideally, so we can have them by Christmas. Limited run, because I have no idea what the demand will be, to be honest. But I'm going to do a run, and I will let you know on stream, and we'll do stream people first. That's it. That's all I know. Atrioc, as someone who bought their inventory in 2016... can we talk about I can cash out now at a 300% profit. Nice. And you're choosing not to because you feel that the the long term, they'll keep going up and up and up. You're certain the massive recent spike over the past year-ish wasn't driven by excess liquidity in the markets and people's shared collective hope that CS2 would spark a massive rush of new players, thus causing all of the value of all items to go up. You're sure that's not the reason? This is a safe. Okay. All right, cool then. Fuck yeah. Hodl, baby. I love a good investor. I thought Taylor Swift was something. If Taylor Swift unboxed a fucking factory new Crimson Web, let me tell you, the prices would moon, dude. If Taylor Swift put one post on IG about her fucking new gloves in CS, we could turn this economy around. Atrioc, thoughts on Twitch farming W's recently? Partner Plus. I lost your message. Partner Plus and ... Twitch farming W's. Partner Plus multi-streaming and removing embedded viewers. Listen, I think you know, it's such a weird metaphor. Bear with me, okay? Follow me on this. Follow me on this metaphor. A long time ago, I watched a battle rap between this white fat rapper named Iron Solomon and this New York City black guy named Murder Mook, I think. Okay? And they go back and forth for the first round. And then Murder Mook does this extended rap comparison to playing basketball with your friends. And then that one kind of out of shape white guy comes up. And like, if he shoots and makes a shot, you go, all right, all right, white boy got one. But if someone else makes that shot, it's just normal. And he was saying like, you're only getting extra credit up here because you're a fucking out of shape white guy. And that to me is what Twitch is right now. Sorry to go. Twitch has been so ass for a long time that they're doing what I would consider basics. They're really just tapping it in. I mean, getting rid of fucking embedded viewers is like 8 years late. And it's like, yes, this is cool. I'm glad they hit the layup. If they're on my team, and they're on my team because I'm streaming here, I'm glad they hit the layup. It's fucking nice. But it's not like, it doesn't feel like dub after dub after dub. I will say, the new CEO, clearly better. Clearly more involved in the community. Clearly tries streaming, gets it, understands. There's a night and day better. The old CEO literally, and I'll tell you from experience, would sit in meetings and play Hearthstone all day and got super omega rich and would go to fucking Burning Man and shit and just didn't give a shit. And honestly wasn't even really a gamer. Like, he got into it outside of Hearthstone. So it's clearly better. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, so far, like, even Partner Plus is like, all right, Partner Plus is nice for the people that qualify, but the number of people that qualify is actually pretty small. And then once you qualify, you better not get bigger because beyond it, they cut it off again. So it's like this small window, which is like, I guess, cool. It's better than it was, but it's not. Do you qualify? Yes, I qualify, but I'm also a little past it. So it's like they only do it up to the first, this is going to sound terrible, but only the first 100K. Do you know what I'm saying? So after that, it goes back to 50%, which is a weird feeling. Where it's like they say you qualify, you now earn 70-30, but unless you make too much, in which case it goes back to 50-50. So it's like, it's just a weird thing. And I know the first response is like, oh no, oh big fucking baby, what are you fucking whining about? But it's just odd because they're not doing more work for me at that higher level. You know what I'm saying? Also, 70-30 is already like an exploitive tax. 70-30 is what Apple and Google take, and they're getting sued for it. So taking 50-50... But it's fine. I'm not pressed about it. 70-30 across. Yeah, it should just be a minimum. I think minimum. Like, I think if it was 70-30 from the beginning, everyone would be like, this is kind of fucking iffy, but fine. But 50-50 is just crazy. It's lunacy to me. Twitch does Atrioc, I'm watching Enron doc in econ class and I look smart. Poggies. You shouldn't be talking during the documentary, and you shouldn't be Twitch streaming during the documentary. You don't look smart, bro. You're typing on your phone in my chat saying Poggies. Who's like, that's Einstein over there? Look at this fucking... I think you should get a 30-70 cut. You know what? You're right. You're right. I'm going to call Twitch tomorrow and I'm going to tell them, hey, you've earned it. Take 90. Give me 10 so I grind harder. And then I'll fucking claw my way back up. Previous Twitch employees shouldn't earn anything. And what's your rationale for that? Why, perchance, do previous Twitch employees need to suddenly earn nothing ever? What does that mean? You gave yourself partner? Okay, I did. You're right. I did. When I was working at Twitch, I gave my 0 follower account partner, and I still have that partnership to this day. I agree with that. That being said, don't you think it's likely that at this point I probably earned partner? Like at this point, after years of streaming, sold a good amount of subs, you think they probably would have qualified me. I think streamers should have to engage in a system of bartering with Jeff himself. Jeff Bezos? He doesn't even... Hi, Punch! And hi, Dr. Battle. The devious duo, really. How would Jeff Bezos, who doesn't even work at Amazon anymore, be involved in this system of barter? Confusing. Perhaps stupid. Does anyone here think that's a stupid theory? I'm not saying all of you, maybe one of you. Does any one of you think perhaps maybe this is stupid? Maybe you're on my side and it's like, wait a minute, what are we talking about? This is a stupid line of thought. Let's go a different direction. Couple of you. Good to see. Hey, we can only save some. We can only save some minds, Some hearts, some minds. Da 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 da. When are they putting Faker into Raid Shadow Legends? Stupid question. I shouldn't have read it. Atrioc, what's your workout split? Great question. What I do for a workout is every day I work out my mind, okay? By watching 3 to 4 hours of TikToks in a row. That way I build up the tolerance you need for the future generation. Do you understand? Times are changing. And if you can't, what I have noticed from people is if you mindlessly stare at TikTok for long enough, your mind will start to reject it. You start to, I'm bored, or I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'll feel drudgery. And you'll look away and you'll try to do something else. But if you really force it down mid, like if you constantly do it, you can build up a tolerance. So now I can go 5, 6, 7 hours. And I can knock that out. And that builds up mental tolerance for the next generation. Tom Holland as Link is trending on Twitter. Tom Holland as Link in a Zelda movie. Are they doing live action for it? Or are they going the Nintendo... the Mario style? They're going live action? Don't do Tom Holland, bro. It's unbelievable. It's crumbelievable. No one, it'll take me out. I won't think of Link. I'll think of fucking Tom Holland. I'll think of Spider-Man, bro. Get Linkus to do it. Ironically. No, honestly, get somebody unknown. What happened to that? Find a good, there's gotta be an unknown actor out there. Or at least somebody not. Clint Stevens. Clint Stevens as Link. So you guys know the Spoon story? That's just the trailer. The trailer is him telling the full Spoon story, start to finish, this summer. No, I don't agree that it should be anybody we know. It should just be somebody who looks kind of like Link, who's unknown. Or somebody who is known but truly fucking wants it. Like, what's his name? The Witcher guy. Oh, come on, what's his name? Henry Cavill. If it's fucking Cavill with how much he loved The Witcher, find somebody like that for Link. No, I don't think Henry Cavill should play Link. I'm saying someone like that. Someone like who is a well-known entity but really loves this property. I said not Henry Cavill is Link. Stop saying that I said that. That's not what I said. I'm not saying buff Link. I'm not saying big fucking... The Rock is Link, bro. Unironically. Okay, I'll accept The Rock as Link, but only if we get Kevin Hart as Tingle. This might be a grand slam, bro. This might be the comedy and family-friendly adventure of the summer. Dave Bautista as Ganon would go so fucking hard. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would love that movie to... I mean, I know Nintendo's not going to do this because they fucking made $1 billion by getting every expected actor for Mario. They literally went down the list of like who America likes right now and got the whole fucking... And they're going to do the same thing for Zelda. But I would love if every actor was unknown in the whole Zelda movie. That'd be sick. If it was nobody you recognize. And they let the fucking chess speak for itself. You know what I'm saying? No, don't say. Do not please have Jack Black in it. Just because Jack Black is a well-liked actor does not mean we need to put him in every movie. You stop clapping like seals for things you like. It's annoying, bro. Jack Black? I love Jack Black. Let's put him in fucking Zelda. Let's put him in the Schindler's List 2. Let's put him in fucking... No. Some movies you don't need a fucking comedic... Jack Black in Oppenheimer. Yeah, exactly. Let's have Jack Black be in Oppenheimer. Actually, unironically, Jack Black as Einstein. You know what I'm saying? Give him the wig. That could be hype. That could be hype. That's what people thought about Robin Williams. What did they think about Robin Williams? What did they think? Wasn't everyone in Oppenheimer? Yes, I know. That's the point. That's my problem. Okay? 1,000-yard view. With AI, we could put JB in everything. I did hear, this is from my trainer at my gym, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't know what his sources was, but he said people were, or the studios were trying to pay the estate of dead actors for permanent likeness rights. So like they could go to Robin Williams' estate, pay them a chunk of money, and then have permanent rights to just make Robin Williams movies. Which, I mean, in theory is, of course, something they would do, but I haven't actually seen hard evidence of that. But, yeah, we completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. Robin Williams named his daughter Zelda. We all know that. Like, that is such a well-known fact, but also unrelated. It's like, it's just like, well, I brought up a topic about fucking people, studios trying to revive dead actors' likenesses, and you just said the one thing that your brain thought of around Robin Williams. It's just a factoid. It's like if I said, I don't know, there's, you know, there's 12 million stars in our galaxy, and you go, the sun is hot. Okay, it's cool. Anything else to add, or like what? What is true? It's not necessarily relevant. Holy shit, he's right. It is. Did you know Aragorn broke his toe? That's the classic, dude. That is the classic. Did you know that Aragorn broke his toe in that one scene? People love that one. What's the other one? They love, I think Tom Cruise did it. Tom Cruise actually hurt his leg when jumping across the roof. There's people always fucking... Christopher Nolan made money on the corn. Christopher Nolan made money on the corn. George Bush threw out the first pitch after 9/11. Yeah, Leo cut his hand in Jingle and Chain. Yes. Do you see? We all know all these facts. I just want you guys to know every time you share this, everyone knows it already. We're in the internet age. The dog in Air Bud actually learned how to play basketball. That's just not true. That's just not true. I don't need to look it up. I'm just well aware that a golden retriever did not learn how to play basketball. No, it isn't. No, it's not true. What you guys are trying to do is get me to Google it. And then it'll say, no, unfortunately, Buddy did not learn how to play basketball, but he still had a great time on set. And then you're going to go, we got you. We told you to look it up. Ha, you looking it up. I'm not looking it up. I'm not looking it up. I'm not going to Google it, bro. I'm not going to prove you wrong. He didn't, because golden retrievers can't play basketball. And I know that I sound like the referee from the movie Air Bud. Hey, babe.
Did you see if you had fries left over?
You look like, you look like... I mean, you're in cosplay.
Well, no, this is
you look like one of the villains in Hunger Games or something.
Oh, that's cool. No, it's the undersuit for the Jedi Revan.
It's the Jedi Revan.
Yeah.
I see. Well, what's up?
Well, I was seeing if you had fries.
Oh, they're out there. On the kitchen.
You'd think I would smell them.
You'd think.
Alright, just look at
They're joelering.
Looking at the joler.
Yeah, they... Oh, ask about Air Bud. Do you think the dog from Air Bud actually played basketball?
Yeah.
Why do you think
Wait,
that?
are you asking if he was in the NBA?
No, I think... Like, could he hit the ball into the...
You think it was CGI?
Yeah.
No, it was very real. The first Air Bud, 100%, that dog was trained.
The first Air Bud...
Yeah.
No way.
But what? Yeah, look it up. Like, obviously, there's probably some tricks, but like the.
Well, no, you probably some tricks. No, there's definitely some tricks because the dog can't play basketball.
I'm saying if you.
You're turning me into the referee from the movie.
Wait, if you.
A dog can't play basketball.
If you throw the ball.
Oh, there's
the
nothing in the
dog
rule
will,
book.
hit it with its snout, and maybe it can make the basket.
No, they have to cut it. If you chuck a basketball at a dog, they can hit it on their snout. But there's not going to go in the hoop.
Okay, that I don't know.
It's not going to go in the hoop. All right. If you show me a zoomed out, uncut video of a dog, a golden retriever, hitting a basketball into a hoop.
Okay, well that is a little crazy when you put it down.
Then I will call it playing basketball. Someone's linking.
I mean, I'm sure they got some lucky shots, right?
Won't you welcome
Air Bud, the dog that plays hockey, football, and basketball in 1993.
I gotta see this.
Air Bud, the Wonder Dog?
Yeah, it's 1993.
Okay. Now, last year, and we're going to have Air Bud sink some baskets too here. And that's a 10-foot rim. Last year, Air Bud was making layups. This year, he's making them about 15 feet.
A 10-foot rim? It's not regulation. You're not playing basketball on this fucking little Tykes rim.
Way. But the big thing you've been working on with him, though, is catching a football.
Yeah, Todd, quite honestly, it happened accidentally about 2 months ago. We were playing hockey, just working on his
Also, 10-foot is regulation.
Oh, it's
trick.
not 10
He
foot
found a
wide.
football in the bushes, brought it up.
Because I was like, why are you getting that otherwise? Babe, let's see. Of course, 10 foot
To me, I didn't think much about it at first until you can tell how intense he is. He couldn't take his eyes off the ball. In fact, we had to scrap hockey for the day because his eye was just on the
Shows how you
football.
start him on the ball, and then we've got some videotape that we'll roll in just a second.
Videotape, doctored.
And show him how he catches them from 30
Sweet dog.
yards. Okay.
Yeah, Tom, what we had to
Very
do
sweet
is teach him how to catch the fat end of the ball. It's a regulation football. We took a little pressure out just to protect the dog. As soon as he became comfortable catching the fat end of it.
Deflate gate? I'm sorry, but deflate gate much? We're gonna allow this?
I want to see
This
her eat
Brady-esque.
Like that. Come here, buddy. Let's sit you here so the camera can see you. Sit. Then what I could actually do is back up a few feet, throw the spiral at an angle, so he could learn how to catch it. Drop it from that point.
He's
Come here,
actually
buddy.
a great
Sit
receiver. I'll
down,
give him that.
Down. As we had
Nobody
to teach him
ever
how to
said
line
dog
up and
couldn't
line
play
scrimmage
football.
like a receiver would. Stay on on this side of the ball. Then when I said hike, would actually run the play.
Wow.
And catch it. That's how it started.
Now,
Get to the
because of the
basketball!
limitations of our studio, meaning we don't have a 30-yard place to play football here, went out to Griffith Park today, and you and Airbud put on quite an aerial show. Now, here it is. So, I mean, he goes off on the snap count.
Oh, nice.
And catches
Hey, that's just a clean
football
play.
This is like a winning touchdown
That's a clean
drive.
play.
And you
Look
say
at
you've got him
that.
up to 30 yards? On
About 35 yards.
Oh, what a crowd you had at the Griffith Park, too. Yeah.
Yeah, he takes often, plays shovel
I
passes.
don't watch this. This dog's amazing in football.
He just loves doing it.
Which I
These
never
slant
doubted.
pattern right
slant
there, yeah.
patterns.
Give him the Heisman.
Okay, what do you got here? Oh, you're
He's gonna end up drugged out like fucking Johnny Manziel.
audible.
Yeah,
calling it
audible
audible,
there.
sure. Yeah, calling it audible. And Airbud knows what the audibles are, right?
Certainly. Hey, this is about a 32-yard play.
That's a bomb right there. I mean, that dog
That is a
caught
bomb.
30-yard touchdown. I'll say they loved it.
There's gotta be some people
Now,
in
what
the
kind of
NFL.
dog is Airbud?
Airbud is a golden retriever.
I should have known that.
worse than
Offside,
that.
so you were penalized for
Yeah,
this play.
yeah.
So, oh, it was holding. It was holding. I'm sorry. No doubt it was Airbud who held. And look at that. Sure, we've got slow-mo instant replay.
Shows you his concentration right here.
Look, the concentration of the ball, the whole time we had that videotape on, he would not touch it. Now, you want to pick it up, I don't want to get my hand.
Yeah,
shot.
right. Well, I think that's really what's made it work with us, especially with the basketball. He's so focused and intense, he doesn't take his eye off the ball. Look, buddy. Ready? Hike. Good.
Now,
Boy,
will he
buddy.
take a pass from me? I mean,
Yeah, you will. Certainly,
Okay, let me,
certainly. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Let's line you up. Or you want to just throw it right to him?
yeah, I'll throw it to
Okay,
him.
let me just make sure that's not quite
Don't
too
worry
slick
about
for
it.
you.
Okay.
All right, let's see if he can actually
Okay.
do it without the training.
But that's a football.
Look
There
at
you
that.
go.
He just-
Good boy, buddy.
He's clean. He's clean even from a bad
That is
QB.
something else. Now, this dog, and he's been at half times of basketball games and football games, and you've got a movie coming up, apparently. Is that
Well,
it?
we've got a project we're putting together right now. It's in the writing stages. It'll be an inspirational kids movie about a boy and a dog.
And the dog plays football, also plays hockey, too. You
Yes.
guys had...
Wait, this is before Airbud? Wait, this is before the movie.
Interesting.
This dog was famous independently. He was already traveling around doing shit, and then they made wow.
play hockey
Yes.
today. And again, we want to show you that Airbud can, as a
How do all of you guys know this? This is an old fucking movie. What you guys were on Porn 2004? You know the fucking Airbud story? Doesn't know Airbud lore.
goalie can take up shots as to how fast. Look at that. I mean,
Yeah, he
What?
can get slap shots up to 70 miles an hour.
70
This will give you a
miles
good-
Why are you launching a fucking puck 70 miles an hour into a dog's face? That doesn't seem okay. You can't. That's not cool.
idea right here.
now, has he ever lost a tooth doing
No, actually, we use what's similar to a racquetball, so a light rubber puck. We always think safety first when we're playing. But it gets to the point sometimes you just can't score against him, Todd.
this? Yeah. And he
wanted
can
to
and
see
he
it
can
there.
handle a guy skating in on him.
Holy
which
shit,
is,
he's
if
actually
any
incredible.
goalie knows, it's easy to stop a slap shot, but when they start skating on you, it's pretty tough.
He's incredible.
That crowd was there again.
Yeah, a lot of crowd support. I think you like that. Very
Now,
important.
so the movie is going to be.
Well, not to tell you too much about it, it'll be about a kid that doesn't have a lot of inspiration, wants to try out for a basketball team, and the dog as he finds the dog as a stray, and all of a sudden he gets a little bit of inspiration by finding the dog as a friend, and then the dog kind of teaches him how to play. That's good enough to make the team, and that's about all we'll tell you right now.
Yeah,
But
starring Air Bud. Now, get the basketball, and let's see if we can have Air Bud make a... Now, last year when we did this,
All right, let's see.
the ball wasn't inflated properly, and it took us a little time to get it. Let's see if Air
Always
Bud
the
now can do it.
inflation.
yeah. You know, buddy, he's a little distracted because of the football, buddy.
There's no
And
way.
Air Bud, don't break the lights.
No,
in
no,
the
absolutely
studio.
not. He sank his 13,000th basket a couple weeks ago in New York.
Excuse me.
13,000.
Points.
It did take. Thank you very much.
13,000.
But it really does show what kind of. Todd, it shows you what kind of determination he has. When we first started this about 3.5 years ago, he was just interested in playing
putting up
along
broad
with me.
numbers.
It took 4 months and about 6,000 attempts to actually sink a single basket. So it says a lot about not giving up.
All right.
Anyway, so shall we try and sink
Sure,
one?
yeah,
for
let's
you?
see ya.
Okay. Look, buddy, let's look at our target here.
Well, you're good.
Watch,
Kevin.
buddy.
That doesn't count. This is him
Kevin,
thinking.
Right down the center. Up.
Look at that, right off the bat on the
Okay, let's change his angle. Come here, buddy.
All right, you got me. All right.
All right, admit it.
You got me.
Okay.
All right. You got me. Okay, I was wrong. I didn't
Right.
know there was a dog out there that put up LeBron numbers.
You blow it.
That drops 13K shots. They practice with that dog 6,000 times to get a single shot. And then
Copium.
I don't get it. I don't understand.
Copium. Okay.
All right, babe.
Now that I've verified.
There's the fries out there.
Thank you, thank you.
It's not copium. I admit it. I admit it, dude. I was wrong. Okay? And that's what makes me, if anything, smarter. Because I have that. I'm like almost the bigger man here. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess what the real follow-up question is, and I hate to be that guy, but that dog's clearly dead, given the time. And that guy was clearly making good money, hustling around the country with his dog. Is there an opening? I'm asking a simple question. Could we all collectively buy a golden or a team of goldens, train them, and then start our own Air Buddies style team? We make it a TikTok thing. We're minting money. Do you think Air Bud and the Taco Bell dog are now in heaven together? Yes, I do. No, I do, sincerely. I do. Good question. Thank you for your sincere question. I do. Yes, I think they're smiling down on us, and they're saying, Yo quiero world peace. I hope we all learned something from that. Did you know that Jaws wasn't a real shark? I did know that, and I also got to see this Jaws shark model while on the back lot of Universal while I was doing that Fun Day interview with Riot. And I remember me dressed head to toe in my Riot World Champion sweater looking at the fucking Jaws shark and trying to make conversation with this fucking, mid-30s Riot Games art director about how much I fucking loved fucking Fizz. Didn't work out that well, but how you gonna do it? Wasn't as an insult. It was let's just say that we had a gap. There was a gap. Da 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 da. Atrioc, did you know that Thanos was not an alien, but really just a tall, buff dude they painted purple? Wasn't he more realistically CGI? I don't think it was a dude skin painted purple. I think it was computer generated. I think he was just really cold. They gave him hypothermia to get the effect right. Yeah. They spray painted it. They took Josh Brolin to the back lot and just fucking went to town with the spray paint and said, "This looks good. This looks good." That's hype. Practical effects, baby. That's what it's about. Did you know the 2020 election was stolen? No, I did not know that. I do. I was thinking about this today. I got this strong feeling, this strong gut feeling that the economy is going to continue deteriorating into 24 and Biden is going to lose hard. And so now I am trying to preemptively, yeah, I know this is like totally unrelated. I'm sorry, but I've been reading stuff today, and also like I live in California, which is like the biggest state for him, and I just hear people around me, and there's like no enthusiasm for him. So I don't know. If I had to predict right now, I would say he's gonna get blown up from people that just are mad about inflation and they're mad about house prices. And it's not going to matter. Like literally, it's not going to be anything else other than people are mad about current prices and they want things to change and they don't understand that it's not like on him. As if Trump will fix any of that? No, I don't think he would. I'm just telling you the way I think it'll go. No, I mean, they both fucking drastically overspent around COVID, and that's part of the reason we got inflation to begin with. Did you see juicer.tv? You can bet on live streams. It's a stake scam. What the fuck does that mean? Juicer.tv? Is this like a fucking... You can... Wait, what? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. This is just more degenerate gambling to a much higher degree. It's like watching Nadeshot play Valorant. Nadeshot total kills. Will Nadeshot win this game? Dude, this is so ripe for fraud. I can trust Ice Poseidon not to bet against himself and cheat. What? This is so fucking stupid. It's real money. Yes, it's real money. I shouldn't even show this anymore. This is so stupid and bad. Yeah, awful. Awful. It's crypto or real cash money. It's crypto. It's Ethereum, but you can obviously exchange that for cash. Did you see the new Duck Bricks videos? No, I didn't. What has Duck Bricks been up to? I know he was working on a Ninjago video. Loki, I kind of want to fly out to see Duck Bricks' fucking Lego collection in real life. I think that would be hype. And maybe do some sort of collab, but I don't know what it would be. We did talk some more. Once his video came out. And he mentioned me because he had one of his employees watch 8-Hour Bionicle. 9-Hour Bionicle. Build the Death Star together. I promise you. I am too good at building Lego to be held back by him. Like if we were building the Death Star together, it would be me doing all the work. Do you know what I'm saying? And he would probably be just goofing around, talking to stream, telling jokes. He would barely contribute because his overall build level isn't the same as mine. Thank you for the $5. Chat, place your bets. Do you think I'll get Donut Walled again? You didn't. How about that? So they lost their bets. Alex Crouch, thank you for the 38 months. The Affronted, thank you for the Prime. Goreflop, here's a fun video about Castro. Why would I... We're not really in the watching videos about Castro situation. It's from 7 years ago. Hey, Big A. I just watched the 2005 comedy movie Fun with Dick and Jane, starring Jim Carrey and Tia Leone, with my girlfriend, Real, the other night. Hilarious movie that I understand now after learning about Enron. Yeah, it is an Enron parody movie. I saw that when I was a lot younger. I saw that like when it came out. It was good. It's a good movie. I mean, it's not a great movie. It's a fine movie, but it is a fun. The only problem is it has like a really happy ending, which was unlike the real life situation. But it is nice. I like movies where there's like a shady business person that fucks people over and then gets their comeuppance in the end. It's good. It's a good method. Good message. Big A, curious. Do you think that J.K. Simmons can ever miss, or is he just goated? Are you a J.K. Simmons stan? He's a good actor, yeah. Do you have a fan cam of J.K. Simmons? Are you part of Simmons Twitter? Yeah, he's a good actor, of course. He dominates whatever scene he's in. You can't look away. He brings an energy and a gravitas to the role. He was excellent, obviously, in Whiplash. Oh, I did not want to pin that. I drafted J.K. Dobbins this year. That was an incorrect pin. I was actually trying to scroll. Where's this? I had a video I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch there's a couple of them, but there was one called apparently there's a crisis in the rice markets. And it's only a 10-minute video, so let's find out. Don't you guys want to know why rice is in crisis? People can't get rice. It's crisis.
It's a crucial staple for over half of the world's population. And there might be a shortage that puts communities that need affordable rice
a global rice shortage.
The only shortage out there right now, it's India's plain white long grain rice.
That looks good.
Cheap and lower quality that they ship to
together?
countries.
Because rice is, loved all over the world, it also continues to be a manipulated commodity by governments.
Very cut up, this interview.
India's export bans are reverberating through global rice markets.
Does you have a favorite rice? I forget what Ari's is, but she demands we always get fucking... Tell me if this sounds right, if you guys know rice, because I don't. Kashikari rice? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Am I making that up? I don't know what it is. Koshiakari? Maybe. Babe! Ari! She's not coming. I have to figure this out. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. My earbud. Well, I want to know. Babe, what is the kind of rice you like? Yeah, like what is the rice you're always talking about? Koshi Hikari rice. She's a very big stickler for that kind of rice. I don't know what it is about it. For me, it looks like white rice to me. But it's very oishi, as my fellow weebs will say.
You know, the protectionist measures basically send a panic signal globally.
The US has been dealing with India's over-subsidization. They've created this monster by subsidizing so much that now there's so many rice farmers that if they upset those farmers, that's a huge voting block.
Oh, interesting.
America's rice industry contributes over $34 billion to the economy.
Wait, I didn't even know we had a rice industry.
Farmers face the same volatility.
And, you know, our farmers, they'll go up against any rice farmer in the world, but they can't compete with a foreign government.
Rice is a finicky crop, and the
Why did he
U.S.
pause when he
produces
said
about
it?
20 billion pounds of it every year, despite changing climates that are making it even more difficult to grow.
With rice, it's not just a question of enough water, but enough water at the right time. So it doesn't need to be a corn or a soybean to be incredibly important to the U.S. agricultural economy.
Wait, okay, so we don't have a lot of rice. We've got a rice industry, but it's like 2%, 1% of our planet area. We're a corn country. We're a goddamn corn country, brother. If you need corn, come to the US of A, baby. High fructose corn syrup. Some of you other countries, I swear to God, you have low fructose corn syrup. And that makes you low T. Okay? That, if you don't have the high fructose, you don't have high anything.
U.S. agricultural economy.
Here's how rice markets can threaten affordable food, trade relationships, and the livelihoods of millions of farmers.
I'm sorry, just for the Europeans in chat. No, I'm sorry, for the Americans. Do you ever just wake up feeling blessed that you live in the greatest country on earth and then just down a full fucking half gallon of corn syrup? Do you ever just wake up, go to the fridge, find a half gallon of fucking pure extracted corn syrup and just fucking chug that shit and just think, God damn, thank God. Thank heaven above I live in the right place. Do you mean have breakfast? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't take it straight like that. I'll put my Captain Crunch in a bowl and then eat it, but I still get that half gallon.
There are about 40,000 different varieties of rice, but the market is comprised mainly of long grain, medium grain, and short grain rices.
Right.
As well as higher value rices like jasmine and basmati rice.
Right. What makes it different? I don't know shit about rice. I know brown rice and I know white rice at Chipotle. I mean, I it's just grain size. What is the quality? I don't see color. Yeah, I don't see color, bro. Size of grain, stickiness, and also flavor. Stickiness is a factor, huh? Interesting. Fragrance. Interesting. No, I absolutely have tasted the difference. I could never by taste, I think, identify rice, except for basmati rice, right? Because that's the one where it's like, it's almost crispier and longer. Yeah. Okay. Crispier. You know what I'm saying? Crispier is probably the wrong word.
People don't really think we grow rice in the U.S.
You can tell
First
what
of all,
I'm
it's a
saying.
small crop, right? We're on 3 million acres as opposed to some of the other crops. It's a crop that makes use of a lot of land that other crops can't make use of.
Most of the rice harvested in the U.S. is eaten in the U.S., about 80% of it.
And also, if you think about your cereals like Rice Krispies, Kellogg's.
Hell yeah, brother. Now we're talking.
Or Chinese food,
hell,
food service.
Hell
like
yes.
Rice is a key input into many products that we consume, but especially beer.
Anheuser-Busch is the number
I
one
didn't know
user
that.
of U.S. rice domestically.
I did not know
Rice
that.
requires unique growing conditions. It's a plant that's half submerged in pools of water, often on top of heavy clay soils that wouldn't effectively grow other crops.
At times when you think of a rice field, think of steppes.
Yes, I do.
A field maybe in India or maybe in Vietnam
That's
or
what
Thailand.
I think of.
We don't have land like that, right? Our land is flat, but the farmers will grade it slightly so that the water can move from one end of the field to the other.
Interesting.
And they can capture it and recycle it.
While the U.S. is the largest rice exporter outside of Asia, the U.S. only accounts for around 5% of global rice exports.
Yeah, basically it's all
The
come from Asia.
onset of the coronavirus pandemic and then the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine war caused global inflationary pressures. Some countries responded to the market shock with export bans.
For an individual country, it makes sense to do export bans and help the more vulnerable parts of society. But if a lot of countries do that, and they are doing that now, it further pushes up prices.
Then one of the top rice-producing countries limited exports. India, a country which exports make up 40% of the world's rice supply.
Yeah, India is a larger rice exporter than the next 4 rice exporters in the world.
In September 2022, India banned exports of broken rice and imposed a 20% duty on exports.
What's broken rice? I'm learning a lot today. I always want to improve my knowledge. What is broken rice? Cheap rice? Low quality? It's overpowered.
What were we saying about rice?
Talk about broken rice. You know what that is?
Rice. No.
Apparently, it's just rice that's
I don't
been
know
stepped
broken.
on. You know, it's like fucking. It's that broken shit.
What is broken rice? Someone gonna say?
It's like they're actually
It's like,
broken.
is it B-grade
like
rice or something?
yeah, just low grade
Oh
rice.
yeah, that makes sense.
It's like triple B bonds, you know.
It's like a trench, yeah.
Of some rice
Don't choke me for that.
India is a country that has suffered from food insecurity in a significant way. There's an understandable desire to ensure appropriate availability of staple foods like rice within the country. But there's a trade-off of that.
Yeah, where they're like,
You end up, distorting the price signal for farmers.
Rice prices spiked
They're
15 to
not-
20%. By 2023, rice prices hit their highest in almost 12 years. India added another export ban in July 2023 on its plain white long grain
not
rice.
the plain white long grain.
We see
That's the classic.
rise in rice prices across the region.
Part of the problem is that, despite facing the same rising input costs for energy and fertilizer, in comparison to other agricultural commodities, market prices
I got a question. My understanding is that the brown rice at Chipotle is just the white rice, but they did something to it. It's not.
It's less processed.
It's not like. Or is it? Like, what is the difference? The husk is left on. That's what the brown rice is. The husk. So it's better for you, right? It has been dyed. Yes and no. I'll just Google it right now. I'll Google it right now. Let's get to the bottom of this. Is brown rice better than white rice? Chipotle. Brown rice contains less sodium and more fiber. Easy clap. Yeah, fucking done. Done and dusted. Brown rice is a whole grain that's minimally processed. Turning brown rice into white rice removes most of its nutrients. Fucking easy clap. Brown rice contains more arsenic. Is that true? I mean, actually, I know that's not true. I'm saying is you're saying it's true. You're saying it's true because you don't want to eat brown rice, bro. It's not true. Literally Google it. I won't. I won't. Everyone here is racist. Yeah, true. It's like leaving the skin on potatoes. That's good. The potato skin's where the fucking nutrients are, bro.
For rice stayed relatively stable, which makes it harder for farmers to make ends meet.
The equipment is expensive, the investment's expensive, and then you have all these outside factors really working against you. You know, a lot of times people will picture on pot kettle in overalls with a pitchfork. They're not going to picture an $850,000 combine.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's connected
Factory
to
farms.
India's rice export ban impacts developing countries that depend on its affordable rice. That adds to fears of global food insecurity if rice supplies are limited.
It's impossible to think about rice without thinking about the food security lens.
Over 42 countries depend on India for
Think about it like this. As global warming increases, we'll get more flooding, which means more floodplains to grow rice on. So if anything, this is a blessing. As long as we keep polluting, we'll be able to make more rice. Have I solved the problem here? Thank you for the gifties. Wait, I forgot. Poison Cow, thank you for the gifties. Mr. Aoli, thank you for the prime. Ruler Death, thank you for the 20 months. Crunchy Butter with the 17. And Sloth Gaming with the prime. Nick Bob with the 30 months.
over 50% of their total rice imports.
The only shortage out there right now would really be India's plain.
It won't be easy, but by God, we can try to pollute more. I need you guys to pull together. There's a rice shortage, goddammit. Get out there and pollute.
White, long grain rice that they ship to a lot of countries throughout Africa and Southeast Asia. They don't ship their best rice there. It's cheap and it's lower quality. And when they slap a ban in place, you know, that impacted those developing countries the hardest.
India has historically been the cheapest supplier of rice.
Africa or Southeast Asia, they're going to buy from India because they've got a ton of rice. They can get it here fairly quickly.
Right, makes sense.
For example, Indian rice made up over 80% of the market share in a number of African countries.
Okay, so when they do export bans, it fucks everyone else.
Indonesia, which is one of the largest producer itself, it is still vulnerable because it still requires imports to satisfy
They need a ton of rice.
demand.
India states that its export bans ensure ample food supplies domestically. However, at the same time, food inflation concerns are at the center of India's elections.
You know, from an economic standpoint, it does not make sense for them to keep this ban in place or to have ever put it in place in the first place. It's purely political. You know, Prime Minister Modi is running for re-election. You know, he's seen consumers complaining about increased inflation and rice prices domestically. And what they're really doing is they're trying to secure enough rice in their domestic market that their prices will drop for consumers.
India has stockpiles of rice in government.
Preventing farmers from selling their rice overseas, so they have to sell it to a saturated market at home at lower prices to stop inflation. Yeah, I get it. In the short term, it's a really short-term solution so we can get to the elections. Doesn't that hurt farmers? Absolutely. They're making less money. Like the farmers, because they cannot export, means they must sell against each other only in India. So they're going to take less prices. So yeah, it would hurt the farmers, but get them through an election. Yeah, it's like Biden. Yeah, exactly. Biden using the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, to try and keep gas prices down in the short term to get to the elections.
Storage, and is harvesting one of the largest rice crops on record.
The other risks that we see are, of course, rising temperatures, but specifically rising nighttime temperatures, because rice likes this kind of warmer day and cooler night.
The rice industry faces environmental threats that can lower yields or destroy crops entirely.
I heard about this from people that make, I don't know, barley and hops for beer. All like the beer producing companies were like, you know, hey brother, we think climate change is fake too, but by 2034 our yields will be destroyed, so we need to move production. There's a very, very funny like Financial Times article. You know, it's like, you know, they don't officially talk about it, but they're like, hey, like, you know, based on what we got to move.
making it harder for farms to make a profit. For example, water is crucial for rice production, but it can't be too much or too little.
I think we've seen, significant drought in California, causing in 2022 a 50% reduction
Fake news.
in planted acres. And now
It rained
there's been
once.
more water availability. This year, significant recovery, maybe 40% increases in yield estimated. And then, of course, you bring water and temperature together, and what you get is moisture, and that can become a breeding ground for pest and disease, or weeds and herbs and things that are already fairly challenging for rice producers.
Right.
When U.S. rice farms can't compete with global rice prices, the government may step in with additional financial safety nets, which is exactly what happened in 2020.
I mean, that's what we do with corn on like a major scale. Like the reason U.S. corn is so powerful is there's like these massive government subsidies, right? So it's like nobody else in the world can compete with our corn production because they can make it at impossibly lower cost. But what that ends up being is that like everything in our fucking country is built on the back of corn and corn syrup because there's such an oversupply of corn. The market is so distorted around corn because of the government subsidies that we're fucking force-fed corn and everything. We're half corn. We're corn people at this point.
Two, the government passed the Rice Production Program as a supplement.
$250 million in funding that was provided by Congress at the end of 2022 was to support rice farmers that grew rice only during the 2022 crop year as a way to offset some of the losses that resulted from the extreme increase in input costs.
Can you grow rice year round? None of you are rice farmers, I don't know. But don't you require crop rotation on most situations? You can't just fucking slam blam rice from the same field, right? 360 crop rotation. Corn does what it wants. Yeah, I guess.
Did not correspond with the increases in crop prices that the farmers received.
USA Rice is lobbying Congress to include an updated safety net program in the next farm bill.
Oh, what a surprise.
A relatively small investment from the U.S. government goes a long way in keeping our prices stable, but also keeping us competitive on the world market.
Rice farmers can already opt into USDA insurance programs like price loss coverage and agriculture risk coverage.
These programs exist really just to stop these farmers from falling through the cracks, because that would be a huge disaster, not just for the communities, but for their food supply.
Rice growing communities in the 6 states where it's primarily grown are built around the rice infrastructure. So the rice mills, the rice dryers employ people, the farms employ people.
Okay.
It's the entire supply chain.
I mean, these are very important, pillars of these rural communities.
USA Rice estimates that each rice farm adds $1 million on average to their local economies.
Rice farmers and exporters, they're all going to suffer
shockingly
because
small
of distorted prices.
It's such a risky business.
On the other side of a rice shortage, it looks like the market can bounce back, for the most part. Rice prices could drop nearly 10% by 2024. And if that happens, global rice markets may even reach a surplus by 2025.
And
I don't
when
get
they decide that they've
a
had
rice shortage should mean that rice farmers are doing well. That means their commodities in more demand and they can sell it at a higher price. A rice surplus in 2024 should wipe them out. Why are they looking for subsidies now? This is not mathing out. I mean, are you saying global yields are down? I thought it said India the yields were down because they weren't exporting. So it's a rice shortage so that you can sell more of what you have. Like, why are USA yields down? Why are all yields down? You're not a rice farmer, you wouldn't get it? How do you sell rice when you have none? They have this bag of it right here. Do you see?
enough of the
Look, it's overflowing. They've got this fucking big ass bag. Sell this.
export ban after the election, or when they feel secure politically, they will end the export ban. And then that means that rice prices globally will tank. That will impact all of the countries that export rice again.
A farmer in Louisiana told me, he said, every year we take every bit of money that we're worth and a little more, and we put it in the ground, and we hope we can come back in 6 months and harvest a crop and sell it at the market.
Okay. Okay. Sure. I mean, that's the business, but yes. That's farming. And it's profitable. I don't know. I'm not saying there's zero people like this, but there is a lot of history of like huge agribusinesses using this story of this simple mom and pop farmer who's just trying to make ends meet to get massive subsidies, right? Like they make a ton of fucking money and then they go, old Pa Jenkins not going to be able to make rent this month unless we, and it's like, okay, most of this money's going to you and you have fucking, 18 trillion acres and fucking 600 gigantic threshers working 24/7. So I don't know. It's, and also, I mean, pretty much all the small and pop farmers at this point have been bought out, or they like work on these. I forget the name of the term for the programs, but like they're technically independent, but all of their profit and loss goes into the big company. Atrioc, do you think you'll use your huge 100K salary to start farming rice? Doesn't seem relevant. How would I turn that into a rice farm? Is anyone in chat a farmer? Is it fun? It'll be interesting for one of those bring your chatter to work day streams. Talk to a farmer. Someone out there really getting it done. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's only 2 jobs in America that can be called fucking true, homegrown, hard work jobs. Farmer, streamer. Outside of that, everyone's kind of a soy. F. What do you mean F? Bro, there ain't no F. All right, what about this? So apparently on Twitter, they were saying SNL had its best episode in a long time, and that this sketch was the most highly viewed one from it. It's called Washington's Dream, and I did not watch it because I wanted to watch it with chat. Ooh, Pog.
In the United States, at least 10% of
how unprofitable companies stay in business, the rise of zombie firms.
Listed companies are taking on debts that they probably can't repay.
Pog!
Economists call these unviable companies zombie firms.
They
Love that.
crowd out capital that would otherwise be available to healthy firms.
Zombie firms are a growing problem around the world.
The share of zombie firms has been increasing over time. This has detrimental effects.
You say Atrioc LLC? You think Atrioc LLC is a zombie firm? I have zero overhead, zero debt. It's not, no, it's not a zombie firm. I'm not cooking the books, bro.
To the healthy firms that compete in the same sector.
Banks and governments keep zombie firms alive when they bail out unviable businesses.
I actually don't want the government to prop up zombie companies anymore. If a company has to
Tell
die
him, Kevin.
because the world has changed permanently, let it die.
The Fed's swift interest rate hikes are making long-suspected zombie firms go bankrupt.
The stance of policy is restrictive, meaning that tight policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation.
As these rates rise, it's becoming more expensive to do a lot of...
I am in favor of Jerome Powell's recent raising of interest rates. I'm impressed that he got it done, and I think it's overall long-term healthier that we get it there. But I found out recently that he's worth $100 million. And it's like...
activity.
He's just in the wrong fucking class of wealth to know how this is going to impact regular people. That's just too much money for the fucking head of the Federal Reserve to make.
And inflation.
As these rates rise, it's becoming more expensive to do a lot of things, including operating a business.
There are some firms that actually really should no longer exist. But there are other times that you have firms where the underlying business model still has the potential to create real value.
The Fed doesn't see zombie firms as a problem in the United States, at least not yet.
So we might have come into this year thinking zombie firms are a small problem and one that'll quickly go away as things normalize. But if this is the new normal, the problem of zombie firms, zombie banks, and even slower growth for the whole economy will only become a bigger challenge.
Is the U.S. financial system propping up zombie firms? And how many are left after the pandemic?
Yes, and lots is the answer.
Zombie firms are failing businesses that managed to stay open for years due to cheap credit.
There is no single accepted definition of zombie firms, but there are common characteristics that we look for. Usually, if it's an older firm, it's not a new firm.
So this is an overly indebted firm. And on top of that, is consistently displaying negative sales growth.
Roughly 10%.
No, it's not just old firms, like tech companies. There are so many startup tech companies that were actually only able to survive because of cheap debt and investor money. This is not just old firms and new firms. There's tons of zombies.
Listed companies in the United States are zombies.
Tesla is not an example, actually. Just to be fair, I know I shit on Elon Musk a lot. Tesla is a company that has very low debt and a nice cash position. They're a fine company. The problem with Tesla is that they, like, I don't know. It should be valued like a car company, which would not make it one of the fucking 10 largest companies on earth. It's a car company that sells fewer cars than Toyota, bro. It's just a fucking car company, bro. And they value it like next year they're going to have all the things they've been promising and they're all going to make money. The fucking walking robots are all going to make money. And the fucking self-driving robo-taxi service that everyone can sign up for is going to make money. And Tesla financing is finally going to make money. And none of that shit makes money. And the only thing they make money on is fucking selling cars right now. At a fucking 8% margin after the price cuts, which is the same as fucking, actually less than Toyota.
According to the Fed's most recent estimate, which was collected before the pandemic began.
Which is almost twice as large relative to the share 20 years ago. So there is really a trend here.
Other counts estimate higher levels of unprofitable firms weighing on the economy. One of the more aggressive counts come from Credit Risk Monitor, which says that as many as 40% of publicly listed U.S. companies are actually unviable.
Yikes.
Zombie firms can appear in any sector where debt
I hope
is
that's
involved.
not true.
Like real estate, energy.
That would be catastrophic.
These are sectors that traditionally are less exposed to competition and also tend to be more financially vulnerable and more prone to swings in demand.
A big chunk of the universe of unprofitable companies in the US are actually growth companies. They're also oftentimes companies that are under-leveraged. They don't have a lot of debt on balance sheets, and that's a really key difference with a typical zombie. It's really important to sort of separate them.
When compared to their peers, zombie firms are smaller in size, have lower returns on assets, hold less cash, and have lower investment opportunities than their non-zombie counterparts. Those weak financials set zombies up for failure if they can't find a new creditor to bridge the gap. That's
you guys want to pitch in?
2020.
If we all put our money together, we can help bail out a single zombie firm. That could be fun. Give them a few more years of wasting everybody's time. FaZe? Yeah, FaZe. FaZe is a great example, bro. FaZe is a perfect example.
23. 516 corporations have filed for bankruptcy through September. That's a huge surge from recent levels.
Companies that used to borrow at zero to invest or grow their business are now paying in some cases upwards of 9 and 10%. So if your cost of doing business goes way up and your sales are growing way less than they used to, that's a huge problem that's making a lot of businesses simply not profitable.
By the way, this is a good thing. In the short term, it does cause some pain, but it is a good thing that fucking businesses that make no sense and waste money go out of business. The problem is we've allowed so many of them to build up for so long that it's going to be so fucking painful because we've had zero interest rates for so long, so you could just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and we kept printing money and printing money. So
businesses like the trucking giant Yellow, it filed for bankruptcy in August. Some 30,000 workers were laid off in the process.
I love how many ads Snoop Dogg is doing after getting fucked by FaZe. I can promise you, getting fucked by FaZe did not factor into that. Snoop Dogg just loves doing ads, bro. Snoop Dogg's wealthy. He has plenty of money, and he just loves doing ads. He quit FaZe Insta. He did not lose a bunch of money on FaZe, bro. They gave him stock, and then it was worthless, so he quit.
This company had really been in trouble for over a decade. And what they did in order to make a go of it was continue to borrow money, use private equity at times to find new ways of funding themselves and hope for new growth options. But none of those really panned out.
Yellow stayed afloat in its final years with a $700 million bailout loan from the government. Yellow repaid $54.8 million in interest on that loan, but just $230.
Yeah, the thing about Snoop Dogg and Shaq and there's a few other celebrities that they've done so many ads that people like it. I don't know how to describe it. Like nobody calls them a sellout for doing a lot of ads. So if you get to that situation where it's like fine, where everyone's kind of chill with it, you should do as many as you possibly can because it's fucking free money. It's incredible. If it doesn't hurt your brand image to do that many ads, then fucking print them because Snoop Dogg makes racks from all of them. It's amazing. It's low work. Is Twitch a zombie company? Twitch is owned entirely by Amazon, which is not a zombie company. So there's no worries.
Of the loan principal was repaid before the business shuttered. The company did not respond to CNBC's request for comment.
It was very important during the pandemic that governments stepped up. One of the unintended effects could be that the support was initially mostly untargeted. So if it's not well calibrated, it might have kept pre-pandemic zombie firms alive for longer.
And the era of cheap money went away and they have to pay market rates to borrow. Suddenly they don't have as much traffic as they used to. Their business model doesn't work. And worse, they're left with the legacy of all the debt they took on during the zero rate era. And that's what a lot of other companies share. It's really raising the bar for what companies have to achieve. At the same time, we're realizing companies take a lot longer to achieve profitability than a lot of people had hoped. There are people like Sheila Bair, the former head of the FDIC, who think that these bankruptcies are what we need to get back to a healthy economy.
I'm hoping we can pull off the proverbial soft landing and make this transition not too painful. But once we do get to the other side, it's going to be better for the economy.
There are some
I agree with that.
That actually really
I don't agree
no
it's going to
longer
be
exist.
soft.
There can be a tendency of those weak banks to continue to extend new loans because that helps those firms stay afloat and allows those weak banks to avoid having to recognize the losses on the loans that they've already made.
I just kick it out.
Economists studied the lost decade of the 1990s in Japan to learn the full effects of zombie firms.
Japan was an early example of this concern that zombie firms could cause a lost decade of economic growth. And it's not out of the question that we could face a similar problem today.
So the issue in Japan was at the time the combination of undercapitalized banks and weak supervision. So they had an incentive to keep the zombie firms alive under the expectation that the government would bail them out.
The effect? The share of zombie firms in Japan shot up after 1994, and a decade of slow growth followed.
Love that.
Well, what's happening with the U.S. banks now? They have big losses on their portfolios while they're hoping that they can continue to make a nice spread on interest rates. It's not so much a question of earnings season right now and whether the banks can get through it. It's really a question of how much capital do the banks really have to lend into the economy over the next decade? And if they don't have as much as we previously thought, there's a risk that for the broader economy we experience a lost decade here too.
Not here in America, baby.
Economists say key U.S. industries like airlines and autos appear to operate on high debt and potentially an expectation of government bailouts.
What's happening now is that even if the economy weakens substantially, the government is constrained. It can't borrow.
It is funny because like right now, you'll see that if bad news comes out about the economy, like a bad jobs report, or there's this report called the ISM about industrial manufacturing, if that's down, you'll see stocks actually rise on the expectation that the government is going to break and have to start bailing things out. like bad news becomes good news because people are like, oh yeah, surely we're at the point where fucking they have to start doing bailouts, which is like a bad sign.
And come to the rescue the way that it once did. It's almost a luxury to be able to debate the idea of whether the government would step in and lead to a Japanese-style lost decade.
That it's not a secret, and about all I can say is we know that we're on an unsustainable path fiscally. It's not that the level of the debt is unsustainable. It's not. It's that the path we're on is unsustainable, and we'll have to get off that path sooner rather than later.
Even in the face of growing debt nationwide, some investors see this economy as unusually resilient.
I don't think the parallel with Japan holds at all. The supply side of the economy continues to sort of grow a little bit. You're bringing more supply to the labor market. You're taking down pressure on wages. The other difference is that we went through a massive shock in 2008. A lot of things have been put in place to reduce the risk of financial instability.
I think one of the challenges that the Fed and other bank regulators are having to pay attention to.
Not a big truster of Goldman Sachs.
Have the assumptions that we've traditionally used when assessing the healthiness of banks.
It's an unrelated Goldman Sachs story. Goldman Sachs is one of the biggest investment banks in the world, and they do a lot of big mergers and acquisitions, and they're very sleazy and well connected. The CEO of Goldman Sachs is a part-time DJ. And he loved DJing so much and he kept doing it, but everyone started making fun of him for it, that it started to truly affect his work. Because as Goldman Sachs has gone through some rough times recently, they lost some big fees or big clients, or their revenue was down. They also did that card, I think. I think they backed the Apple card and lost money on that. And so everyone's been like really harping on the DJ stuff, so he finally had to quit. He had to quit his love of DJing because he had to be like, no, I'm done DJing. I haven't DJed in a long time. I'm actually not a DJ. Because yeah, David Solomon. What happened with the Apple card? My understanding is that it is good for Apple, but not the bank that's backing it, which I think was done through Goldman Sachs. Like, it's not profitable. They're not charging enough fees on people.
Do those still hold? This is where supervision comes in, filling the inevitable gaps in the rule system.
The Fed's interest rate hikes are expected to rid the economy of weak performers.
We've raised our policy interest rate by 5.25 percentage points and have continued to reduce our security.
Why not just quit his banking job? Surely he makes enough. Bro, you could say that about like every fucking rich person in all of society. Why don't they just quit and have fun? I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's just not how it works. They just don't do it. They want to make more.
These holdings at a brisk pace. We've covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our tightening have yet to be felt.
The biggest implication of the rapid rise in interest rates that we've seen is that reintroduced the value proposition of cash as an asset class, and that actually, puts some constraints on risk assets.
I think we're only just beginning
Cash,
to see
no longer
the toll
trash?
that high rates are taking. If rates stay where they are, it's going to reshape business, banks, and the U.S. economy as we know it.
In a good way. Dude,
You
I
might have
pray they can hold it higher for longer. I know they won't. They're going to fucking cave. They're going to fucking cave and chop that shit down to zero and bring in fucking yield curve control, and they're going to fucking start printing money again. But if they can hold it, man, we could actually have a real fucking economy where savers are rewarded and people can fucking not lose the value of your dollar constantly. And there's innovative companies, and there's fucking... Oh, it'd be so nice if they could hold it. They're just not going to do it.
Made a bad loan with information you had at the time. Maybe the firm was like potentially promising, but it never paid off. And I don't want to recognize that I, the investor or the bank, I was wrong. And that's human behavior.
USA. Interesting video. I liked it. These little 10-minute long, whatever they have for their, what is this, Carlos Waters and his team at the CNBC business section or whatever. They've been making a pretty good couple of short documentaries. They're nice. What if we just made interest rate 100%? Okay, that's kind of extreme. Although it did get as high as fucking 20%, I think, was the peak when Volcker had to kill. Oh, I just got a message from Japan Analysis on Twitter. He just DM'd me and said, "Hey Atrioc, thanks for reacting to the new vid. Your fans always treat me well," and then gave me this face. That one. Which is very sweet. And Japan pilled. Congrats on 200K. That's awesome. Great videos. Okay. I kind of want to... Dude, I swear to God, I didn't even intend to react today. But I had videos I wanted to watch. So I didn't intend to react. I did intend to react. I had videos I wanted to react to, but I didn't intend to react. But I wanted to play a game. God, I haven't played a game in a minute. But I just don't know. I guess I need to finish Lies of P. I guess I need to do that, but I feel like I got stuck. I feel like I got stuck in a... I don't know. I need to just fucking play it, but... And I'll beat it today? Shit. I should try to finish it up. Could hop on the league grind like me? No fucking way. Rasputin? Does he have a new video? Do love Raz's videos. Raz. Made a video called Difficulty is Weird. It's a little long, though, is the problem. It's very good. It's very good. Difficulty is weird. Fuck it. Let's try it. Fuck it. I do like a good fucking gaming video. I'll tell you that.
Hardest decisions I find myself faced with when playing a game is this one. It's almost always the first choice you make, and it is one of the biggest deciding factors on what kind of experience you're going to.
It's extra tough if you're streaming. I want to tell you this. I had a long conversation with XQC about this. Where his theory is that everyone's going to call you a pussy if you don't pick hardest. But if you pick hardest, they'll leave because the game takes too long to get through. So what you should do is pick the absolute easiest and force it down mid. Don't read any dialogue and just try to beat it day one. That was XQC's plan. That's what he told me. He said, this is the big streamer way to do it, is pick the easiest possible difficulty, force it down mid to get through the cutscenes, and then everyone watches it day one. Which he's probably onto something. Because there's like I've noticed that if you play a game, the day one is, once you get to day 2 or 3, people haven't watched all the farts and they churn out because they don't understand what's going on. So it's a real thing. But also, I am susceptible to my own personal brain rot where it's like I want to pick the hardest one. I did that even before I streamed, but it's even worse when you stream because you're like, you want to like do the hardest thing. I don't know. It's a tough call. I've never really tried the other way, but I think I do want to try like not
going to have. For the longest time, it's something I never paid much mind to, always just selecting normal or whatever seemed to be its equivalent, because I figured that must be the intended experience. Like, it's literally called normal, so you'd assume the game must be best balanced around that mode. But more recently, I've realized that's not always the case. One example of this that I've touched on a bit in the past can be seen with The Witcher 3. Its normal option, Story and Swords, provides a decent challenge and certainly will be a good option for some, but I found it to be underwhelming as I was able to pretty easily beat the game without engaging with most of its systems. Aside from a few tutorial quests that force
this is why I really fucking love games that have no difficulty level. I don't even like the choice. The choice already annoys me. I like a game that's hard, but there's no other way to play it. So it's just like, that's what you have to just deal with it. I don't like having the option of, he's probably going to talk about this, but whatever. I want to, like Paper Mario. Yeah, like Paper Mario, okay? A game that's fucking brutally difficult, but with no way to turn it down. So that, like, it's a gauntlet that I must go through by myself.
To use alchemy in the bestiary, I pretty much ignored them entirely, because in the time it would take me to read up on a monster's weakness and create an oil or decoction.
Wait, the exception is Pokemon because the difficulty in that is so easy. Yeah, I agree. I actually would love if Nintendo, just for once, God damn it, Nintendo and Game Freak, just for once, dude, make a fucking serious, hardcore Pokemon game. Just try it. Just try making it for the fans that have been around for 20 years. It would be so sick. Just a really fucking good one with like, side quest bosses and fucking shit that's really challenging and Pokemon that are fucking super hard to catch and just shit that like makes you, God, it would be so sick. They are games for little kids. They were games for little kids, okay? Pokemon has fans of all ages now. There's more than one audience it can support.
To help me take it out, I could have already killed it and been on to the next one. Using those mechanics didn't feel worth my time.
I want to see Pokemon disfigured after fights. That's not what I said. I meant difficulty hard. I don't mean the fucking Pikachu's eye gets torn out. I don't mean Mortal Kombat fatalities in it, dude. I want a difficult challenge that requires you to actually learn the mechanics of the game and not just pick Squirtle or the equivalent at the beginning and solo level it the whole game and one-shot everything. I want, like, the teams to matter.
Which is a bummer because they're interesting systems that encourage exploring and engaging with the world and lore in meaningful ways. They are an important piece of what makes The Witcher 3's gameplay loop feel so good. But as I didn't use them, I missed out on most of that, and once I finished my first playthrough, I walked away feeling bored and unimpressed. Then last year, after a handful of failed attempts of getting back into it on a higher difficulty, I finally fully dedicated myself to a Death March playthrough, and it felt like an entirely different game. All of the mechanics I once ignored became integral to my success, as certain fights were simply impossible without them. Right. It encouraged a playstyle that pushed me to learn about the world and think carefully about every encounter, making me feel like a Witcher instead of a typical video game hero. And this made it so much more distinct from most other open world games I've played. Now, I don't think Death March...
Is Raz in chat? Is there any chance? Sometimes he's in chat. I'm checking. No, unfortunately not. Not since fucking October 3rd. Because I wanted to ask. He really is a gamer. In terms of like, just, I'm going to go back and replay a game. I'm going to play a single player game again. I'm going to just take 2 weeks and play The Witcher again on hardcore. Like, he games. He's not... It's just like, it's a fucking... playing across genres, playing new games, and then playing same games again, which is like, I very rarely play a single player game again. And I wanted to ask if, now that it's sort of his job, if he feels more pressure to do it. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, did he do the Witcher 3 playthrough out of love before YouTube just wanted to do it, or does he... I wonder how that changes things for him, and I'm interested.
fixes every issue with the game or its combat, but at the very least, it got me to approach it in a much more enjoyable way than I did the first time. The thing is, if I hadn't read up on it and been told by friends to give Death March a shot, I never would have known to try it. And even if I had decided to start with it unprompted, I would have changed difficulties almost immediately, because the first encounter absolutely wrecked me. Like, I died over 5 times to these stupid ghouls. On Death March, they have the capability to take you out in just a few hits, and as you don't have any notable gear or items, there are no advantages to lean on. Also,
Bro,
given my pretty simple...
I remember I did Resident Evil, what was it, 8? Or what? Yeah, Resident Evil 8, hardcore, the hardest mode on stream. And the very first fucking fight in the village, like that village, I spent like a fucking day, dude. Get to the river. I remember just running in circles in that fucking village over and over and over and over and over again on hardcore because they were all bullet sponges. I had one little pistol, and I didn't understand that you had to die in the right spot. That scripted death, oh, so fucking annoying. God, that was crazy.
Experience on Story and Swords, I wasn't used to needing to dodge so frequently or wait for openings to attack, so it
was
took me
the hardest part of the whole game.
Get those things down. Had this been my first playthrough, I would have made the very fair assumption that I was in over my head, as dying so many times during what is for all intents and purposes still part of the tutorial is a pretty clear sign that you should turn the difficulty down. But in reality, Death March isn't nearly as punishing as this first encounter makes it out to be. To be honest, I struggled more with this fight than any other I came across throughout my 100+ hour playthrough, and the only thing that killed me more than these ghouls was gravity. My whole experience with The Witcher 3 illustrates one of the bigger issues that comes from having difficulty options. If players don't pick the right one...
I forgot. The reason I brought that question up for Raz, and the reason I'm thinking about it, is because I played Witcher 3 and really loved it before I was a content creator. I just played it. I just sat down and played it, and I enjoyed it, and I explored the world. But I would never play it the same way on stream, and I don't think I would even enjoy it the same way on stream. Like, if Witcher 3 came out today, I think I would skip it, which is kind of sad. Like, that's not fun. And I've never played Blood and Wine, because Blood and Wine came out later, and I heard it was good, but I would have, I think, if I was in a different spot. So I guess I'm interested. I wonder if that has changed his perspective or not, when it has to be both DLCs are awesome. Yeah, I think I should play it. I mean, I'd love to play it, but it's just not a stream game, and I always feel like it's... The thing, when I first started streaming, when I was, like, early pandemic at NVIDIA, the real appeal of it to me was not anything about a community or anything about building an audience or whatever. It was because I had this voice in my head whenever I would play video games that says you're wasting time. But when I did it on a stream, the voice was not there. It was like, this is good. It's a content. And so I was able to just play games and it was fine. Not schizo. Not schizo. I'm just saying that is what the appeal was to me of streaming. But now it's like a different voice now where it's like, this is a bad stream game, which is interesting. It's an interesting evolution. There's almost no escaping the cycle. I'm still going to beat Lies of P, and I played a ton of Lies of P knowing that was not a good stream game. I'm not saying it's entirely. I'm just saying it's like once you know a fact, you can't erase it from your memory. You can't pretend you don't know it. And it's my brain is just aware of that thing, which is annoying. I have to tell myself to ignore it rather than
it can turn a game they would have otherwise really loved into one that never manages to impress them. And it all starts with having to make a guess of which setting will be right for them. If it were just about players having to assess their skill level in any given genre, that'd be hard enough. But they also have to contend with the fact that every title is balanced differently. And a hard mode in one game is
It's also, sorry, I'm talking all about me here, but I'm contextualizing this through my thoughts. It's not an impossible problem. Like, it's technically a problem I could solve, by getting better at doing what Northern Lion does. Northern Lion has solved this problem, and it's because he has figured out how to banter completely irrelevant to the game. He literally doesn't have to care about the game. Which is a great, so it doesn't actually matter. He can kind of choose what he wants to play. And even then, he abandoned some stuff, some games that don't work for viewership. So, but it does, there is a solution to this problem. Like, the problem is I like talking about the game. Generally. Not all the time, but I generally like talking about the game. So it's like something I got to work on. It's like if I want to do it and if I want to have all my cake and eat it too, I have to work on that.
Not the same as a hard mode in another. Honestly, when it comes to The Witcher 3, I still don't know if the reason I like Death March so much is because I'm an above average player or because CD Projekt Red did a bad job of picking out what their default mode should be. When playing something new, the only thing I can really base my decision off of is what difficulty level I went with for
there's
other
a tough
games.
way.
And even though it might get me close a lot of the time, it obviously is a flawed way to do it because it is using irrelevant information. It takes actually playing something to have any real idea, but as I already pointed out with the ghouls, even that can be misleading. An early lull or spike in difficulty can give an inaccurate depiction of what a setting will be like to play long term. The logical solution to this problem is to just switch difficulties throughout a playthrough. When things start to feel mindless, bump it up, and when it seems like you're constantly bashing your head against the wall, turn it down. But I find that this is easier said than done. For instance, I like the feeling I get from overcoming challenging games. So when I run into an obstacle that seems out of my league, a part of me always wants to figure out how to get past it. Even though I don't think I should feel this way, lowering the difficulty seems like a sort of failure. It's me giving up on the chance to enjoy the sweet satisfaction.
And what's worse is I hate that it even exists. Not when I'm streaming, I don't worry about it because I would never do it live. But if you're offline and you're stuck on something, the thought that you could, I don't know, that you could skip over it by going to easy pisses me off. It like frustrates me. I don't even want to have to think about it. I don't even want the option for it. I wish it didn't exist. I wish it was balanced around everyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed off at the option. I really am. Which is, again, probably not fair. But I'm just being honest about my emotion. I don't like having to make the choice.
Of getting good. There are times where it's obvious that I should just switch, so I do, but more often than not, I feel inclined to just keep pushing through it, to keep trying regardless of how frustrating it gets. Putting this much effort into conquering a challenge certainly can pay off. But with some titles, it really only serves to hurt its general vibe and pacing. Like playing The Last of Us on the highest difficulty has its merits, but for many, it will lead to getting torn apart by clickers so many times that they'll forget what Joel and Ellie are even trying to do. Getting through these encounters will probably feel satisfying to a degree, but it will come at the cost of the game's story.
Especially because this is a game about the pacing and the story. This game dying over and over on a couple regular enemies is not... There's no joy in that. You don't feel great about beating them. And also, I think worse is that like the way a game like this handles difficulty, I'm pausing a lot, I gotta move on, but is they make bullet sponges. If the difficulty was like there's 3 more enemies or they have fucking extra spikes on their head or something, but just like cranking up the fucking health they have is whack. It's like it because even if you're playing better, the fights take longer and they're slow. It's actually worse immersion.
Story, which I'd argue is a much more important aspect, especially during a first playthrough. As for turning the difficulty up, I'm often resistant to do this as well because I never know what's coming up ahead. If I bump it up but then the next area is far more challenging, I may have to turn it back down again, which would feel kind of bad. Furthermore, I worry that jumping between difficulties might undermine certain moments. If a section feels especially easy or hard, there very well could be an intended and important reason for that. A pretty famous example of this sort of thing can be seen with God of War 2018 2018 when Kratos is preparing to go to Helheim. In order to weather the conditions of the realm of the dead, he has to retrieve the Blades of Chaos, weapons from his past that he hopes to keep buried. On the way to get them, he's confronted by a group of Hellwalkers, all of whom are resistant to the icy nature of the Leviathan axe, essentially forcing the player to use Kratos' fists and shield to take them out. This leads to a pretty grueling and demanding fight, where the weapon you've come to rely on is useless. Then after getting the Blades of Chaos, Kratos is attacked by another group of Hellwalkers, and all the tension and frustration that was built up from the previous fight is immediately unleashed as Kratos slices through them with ease, demonstrating a clear increase to his power that thematically aligns with the narrative. But if you were to lower the difficulty to get through the first fight more easily and raise it during the second so it'd be more of a challenge, this sequence wouldn't be nearly...
What the fuck was this 900-page fucking article? I was recording an ironic Genshin wishlist video while doing a Persona tier list. What you're just fucking rambling, bro. Good on you. Good luck. You got banned. Yeti banned you. Sorry, bro. Yeti banned you. That's tough.
Admittedly, it is unlikely that someone will change the difficulty during this section, as it isn't long enough to cause so much frustration that they feel the need to switch, but just knowing that games do this sort of thing always makes me wonder if I'm in the middle of a sequence that will soon have a big payoff or playing on the wrong difficulty. Even if I didn't let these mind games get in my way, changing from one difficulty to the next doesn't even guarantee that it will balance things perfectly, as there are so many different aspects of a game that can affect how easy or hard it is, and in a lot of cases, changing the difficulty will shift all of them. So if you're playing an action-adventure title on medium and feel like the puzzles are the exact right amount of challenge, but the combat seems trivial, changing it to hard may address your issues with fights, but it might come at the cost of puzzles becoming frustrating. The best way to solve this problem is by making the difficulty settings of the game highly customizable. When players are able to adjust specific aspects like how aggressive enemies are, or how much time they have to solve a puzzle, or the amount of experience they get from winning a fight, it makes it possible for...
How am I supposed to know that as a player? I gotta figure out whether I want them to be fucking grounded attackers or what. That's ridiculous. That is such a complex solution that puts so much onus on the player to design their experience.
For any given player to balance the game in a way that is just right for them. At least that's how it works in theory, but I found that in practice it's much more complicated than that. I do appreciate the idea of being given full control over my experience, but more often than not, having these options quickly becomes overwhelming, because when playing a game for the first time, I have no idea.
Don't set up a question like that and then say
experience, and frankly, I probably wouldn't fully know on a second playthrough either. More options may give players the capability to perfectly balance the difficulty of a game, but that doesn't mean they have the know-how to actually do it. Now, if there are just a few options to pick from, it probably won't be that tough to figure out what to adjust. But the fewer options there are, the more likely it'll be to run into the same issues as games that don't have any customization. When there are a wide range of options, though, it can take a ton of trial and error.
Is he going to talk about Resident Evil 4 and its auto-scaling difficulty? Where if you're getting your fucking ass kicked, it like starts removing enemies and they walk slower? I don't know what is with ads today. You should talk about this? Okay.
Or to figure out what works best, to see how different settings interact with each other to augment the difficulty. And I think for most players, putting a bunch of effort into troubleshooting a game's difficulty in the hopes of finding the right balance isn't how they want to spend their time. They're not the game designers. They don't have a good grasp of how any small change may impact their long-term enjoyment. Also, constantly modifying various aspects of a title to see what works best can create a disjointed experience. And that might make it harder to get into or appreciate.
I don't know what fucking game this is, but this menu would make me want to quit. This is bullshit, dude. I do not want to pick all this shit. I want you to design an experience.
Title. At the end of the day, most people just want to play video games without having to think about it. To clarify, I'm not trying to advocate that games should never include this kind of customization. Honestly, I really do like the idea of it, and I imagine there are plenty of players out there who get a lot of value from being able to make these small, specific adjustments.
Really?
However, I've learned that I don't enjoy the process of figuring it out, which typically leads to me ignoring them, but still always wondering if I can make things better. In general, it's kind of nice when I am not solely in charge of the decision. decision, when the game gives some sort of feedback of what is right for me. One approach like this is when a game puts the player through some type of measurable test in order to judge their skill. The first time I ever experienced something like this was in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The intro puts the player through a typical tutorial assault course, and the recommended difficulty is determined by how quickly they clear it. This seems like a great approach.
Is there a speedrun of this? I want to watch it right now. COD 4 intro speedrun. It's the most played speedrun in COD 4. Well, I found one in world record 8.7 seconds.
Grab the rope when you're ready. Position 2. Go. Hit the targets. Flashbang through the door. Hit the targets. Hit the targets. Position 5. Go.
Let's go!
Flashbang through the door. Hit the targets. Final position. Go. Sprint to the finish. All right, Soap. That's enough.
You'll do.
Gentlemen, the cargo ship mission is a go.
That's sick. Wait, that was...
Position 5. Go.
I like that he finished it before the guy was done talking.
Flashbang through the door. Hit the targets.
He's saying hit the targets after you're fucking done standing in front of his face. Punch is 9th in this? Wait a minute. What is your name? Pandas? I've got 9th as Pandas. Is that you, Punch? Or did I just check your... Wrong thing? What do you mean wrong thing? This is it, right? Or maybe veteran? No. It's not 2 minutes. Oh, you're right. What is this? Levels. Leaderboards. Someone's got it, I'm sure. Oh, dude, I keep getting this thing where if I try to like drag a... Rank 9th, FNG trading course, player Punch, verified 1 year ago. Description, I am unemployed. Damn, 1 year ago, huh? All right, let's see it. Wait, it's a different game. Is it? Hits the targets. Okay. Nice, nice. Good shit. Good shit. Couple micro mistakes. We all saw them. Not a big deal. You were 0.3 seconds slower than the world record, and we could tell immediately. But top 10. Can't go wrong with top 10.
Approach, as instead of making the player judge how good they are, the game itself takes a sample of their gameplay and tells them how prepared they will be for the challenges in store. Of course, while this is an intriguing approach, it doesn't mean that it comes with no issues or uncertainties. For instance, judging someone on how good they are at a game when they're first getting the hang of it isn't the best sample of their actual skill. If a player runs through the course once while still figuring out the basics and doesn't give it another try, there's a chance they'll be recommended too low of a difficulty. On the other hand, if a player does what I did the first time I played COD 4 and stubbornly grind the course over and over again until they've practically memorized it and can do it fast enough to be recommended veteran, then they will almost certainly be setting themselves up for failure, as doing that doesn't actually make them good at the game.
No, but if you're the type of person who does that, you're the type of person who probably wants veteran. That actually makes a lot of sense. If you're going to grind it anyway,
game. It just makes them good at that very specific challenge. The tutorial does test the player's reaction time and how well they can position themselves, but it doesn't account for other important aspects like their decision making or ability to avoid taking damage. It is just one small piece of what makes a player good at the game.
Is veteran COD bullet sponges? Or what is the deal with veteran COD?
And this sort of approach becomes even more questionable when looking at titles that don't rely on precision or quick reflexes in the way that shooters do. Take The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition, which came out a little...
Is it like my closest experience would be Halo? Okay. Worse than Halo? On Legendary? I mean, Halo's pretty brutal on the highest difficulty because you get one tap by a lot of things. And it's really annoying.
Little under a year after the base game, and added a tutorial that has Geralt fighting in an arena against various enemies and monsters. At the end of it, the player is put up against a handful of foes that get increasingly more powerful, and the more enemies they are able to kill, the higher the recommended difficulty will be. However, the arena is not really representative of how players will normally approach combat, as it mostly ignores the whole preparation aspect of the game. Also, the tutorial has no way of assessing the way in which the player kills or dies to the various enemies, which can lead to a bad recommendation. Generally, a player with a fair bit of skill is more likely to take risks, and even though they may have a grasp over the combat, as they are playing more aggressively, there is a higher chance of them making a small mistake that costs them their life. Whereas someone with less skill who plays as cautiously as possible could theoretically take out each of the enemies if they have enough patience. And due to how The Witcher 2 recommends difficulty, both players would be given settings that don't make sense for them. This can have a ton of consequences, one of the most notable being that it might condition the less skilled player to approach every encounter as conservatively as possible, which isn't how the game was really designed to be played. Of course, all these titles do still give players the option to pick whatever difficulty they want, but it's hard to go against what a game recommends, as you'd assume it has a better idea about things than you do. Even though this approach is cool, it clearly is not the most effective way to determine player skill, and I think the fact that more games don't use it is proof of that. The reality is, with most titles, there just isn't a good way to measure a player's skill quickly. Frankly, one of the most important things a player can have is game knowledge, which is a hard thing to test for, especially in a tutorial. And that's why assessing a player's skill for a longer amount of time and
that's why at the beginning of every game, all players should be required to read the full wiki. And it should like eye track you to make sure you can't skip. And you have to watch a full wiki on all of the mechanics and items and how they're used, including spoilers. And then you have to watch a YouTube guide from Fextra Life. And then you are allowed to play.
Further into a game leads to better results. The way this is typically done is by dynamically shifting the difficulty based on how well or poorly the player is doing. Most games have this to a degree, although we don't always think of it as a difficulty modifier. For example, a lot of titles will drop more health or ammo when you're low on one or the other. While it's easy to just see this as common sense and not something tied to difficulty, if a player is constantly out of ammo, there's a good chance it's partially because they are inaccurate with their shots. And if they're always low on health, it most likely means they're taking hits they don't need to. So being given these things as a result essentially makes things easier for them. It's a small adjustment that doesn't shift the core gameplay, but it does balance things out for those who aren't as skilled. There are, of course, far more impactful implementations of dynamic difficulty. Take the Resident Evil series. Depending on how accurate your shooting is and how often you take damage or get killed, enemy behavior and even the amount of them will change, making things more manageable for those who struggle by having enemies be less aggressive and giving a nice bit of...
They do this in Resident Evil 8 too? I thought it was just 4. I thought it was just 4.
Extra challenge for those that have things down by making the baddies more hostile. On paper, adaptive difficulty is perfect, as it takes the decision out of the player's hand by making adjustments based on their actual performance over a long portion of time. Most Resident Evil titles do still have difficulty options, but players don't need to be as exact with their guesses of what's right for them,
no,
because the game will
adjust
to a more comfortable spot. An approach like this helps preserve game feel and flow, keeping the pace of a game as smooth and as enjoyable as possible. And when looking at a title
Wait,
like
I never
Resident
beat this.
Evil 4, which is maybe the
I never beat the new RE4. That was fun as shit. Wait, I should play this.
Best paced game ever made. It's a hard idea to argue with. Also, as it is done subtly and isn't something Capcom seemingly ever talks about, most players won't even notice it. So clearing sections even after they've been made easier feels just as satisfying, because the player will assume they finally got good enough
This
to
game is
overcome
dumb
it.
fun.
The thing is, and maybe this makes me a stubborn old man, most of the time I don't want to feel as if I've gotten good enough to overcome something. I want to get good enough to overcome something. And it's not even about the principle of the matter. It's just that I like figuring things out. And if I know the game is figuring some of it out for me, I feel a bit cheated. I care about this sort of thing more with some titles than others, but in general, I'd rather avoid it. Now, I personally don't mind when a game gets harder if I'm playing well, as like I said, I enjoy getting past things by the skin of my teeth, but a part of me doesn't love the idea of getting bumped up to a harder difficulty and then having that new challenge be taken away if I'm not immediately successful at it.
Right.
It's also worth noting that the increased challenge could push players to approach encounters in a more cautious way that they find less enjoyable. This may make them more successful, but that's not necessarily the same thing as having more fun. All things considered, for a lot of people, especially those who don't really care about these things, adaptive difficulty is one of the better approaches. But for me personally, with most games,
I guess I don't mind it. I just don't want to know about it. Because if RE8 had it, I certainly didn't know it. I thought it was the same. I don't know.
I'd always rather play with it off, as I want all the credit to go to me. But I don't think the majority of titles that incorporate some form of it would really want to have a visible toggle, as drawing attention to it takes away
you don't want to
a lot
even
of the
mention
magic.
it.
For all these reasons, as irrational as it may sound, a part of me prefers when a game has no difficulty options.
Yeah!
I like not having to worry whether or not I'm playing with the right settings, or if the game is making things easier for me without me knowing. The experience is what it is, and there's something to that simplicity.
You know what? It's like a fucking... If a movie director asked you at the beginning of a show, you go to the theater and you sit down, they're like, hey, do you want a happy ending or a sad ending? Like, which one are you in the mood for? And like, tries to, it's your fucking art. Like, I want you to just pick something, make an experience, and then I'll play it. I don't want to have to pick. Yeah. That would be sick? No, it would not be sick, bro. I don't want to pick, dude. I want the person making the thing to pick, and I want to...
Nice. I think in some cases, it also pushes people to embrace a game's difficulty in a way they might not have had there been options. And yeah, I'm sure you knew I'd get here sooner or later, but this is the part of the video where I start talking about Dark Souls. The Souls series, and really every modern FromSoft title, has become the centerpiece of difficulty discourse, and that's because the relentless nature of these games is one of the major reasons many have become so attached to them. There is something about their cruel and bleak worlds that is strangely compelling, and the gameplay feeds into that feeling so well. They present so many challenges that take a ton of effort to overcome.
Go game!
So getting to the point where you are able to overcome them feels incredible. With most titles, the gap between having and not having a great grasp of the core gameplay is going to be noticeable, but more often than not, people in either camp will still be able to progress. But with Dark Souls, that is not the case. That gap makes all the difference in the world, and while there are multiple approaches of how to close it, at one point or another, the player has to figure out how to do it. And when they do, that feeling is unforgettable. Before playing Demon Souls for the first time, I didn't think hard games were my thing, but it proved to me that they could be. And playing Dark Souls made it clear that I didn't just like them, but that they had the potential to be the most meaningful gaming experiences I've ever had.
All right, I'll beat Lies of P. I'll beat Lies of P, bro. I'll do it. All right, I'll fucking beat it.
With Demon Souls in particular, had it been designed with multiple difficulty options, I don't know for sure whether or not I would have switched.
Do I have to do anything tomorrow? I'm going climbing tomorrow. Maybe I'll just come back and go live. I'm actually... Tomorrow is the last day of the contract, by the way, if you got a fucking...
to a lower one, but I definitely would have been constantly questioning if I had picked the right choice. Instead though, all I could really do was focus on finding a way through the game. I had to embrace its uncomfortable challenge or else be out $60. And that experience of going from thinking it...
Wait, didn't I promise a fucking East Coast slop stream on the 11th? Uh-oh. 11th. Do I have something to do on 11th? Do I have something to do on the 11th? On the 11th. Outer Wilds the 11th. Fuck it. I think I'm fine. You know what? Let me check right now because now I'm kind of excited. I want to fucking play some games. I feel like I'm not gaming enough. Let's see. Hey, babe. What's up? Do I have anything to do on the 11th? Saturday this week. The 11th. Can you check the calendar? This sounds familiar. Familiar? Oh, I have something. Friendsgiving? Is that yours? Yeah. Well, that's actually perfect then. Oh, I'm going to do a big all-day gaming stream on 11th, so. Whoa, Maury! Ladies and gentlemen, the 11th is confirmed. Wait, isn't T1 semifinal that night? Wait. Is this going to be the perfect all-day 24-hour stream? World's schedule. Not only is... Oh my God, it is. Wait, no, it's Sunday at noon. Wait, is it? Wait. Is if I stay up Saturday night, is it Sunday morning? Is it? What you guys are keep saying? So, if it's okay. No, that's how it works. That's how it works. After you stay up night on Saturday, it becomes Sunday. No, I get it. Shut the fuck up. I mean, is if it says 12 a.m. Sunday, does that mean I stay up till midnight on Sunday or I stay up till midnight on Saturday? Late Saturday night. Yes! Yes, okay. Saturday will be. I will do it. I'll go live fucking early. We'll play fucking Outer Wilds, possibly. We'll game all day, probably Outer Wilds. And then we'll stay up till fucking midnight till I'm dead, tired, exhausted. And then we'll turn on fucking T1, JDG, and the second wind will come, and I'm gonna fucking celebrate and fucking hoot and holler and scream and hopefully win so the plane tickets I bought today aren't worthless. I'll get some Liquid Death. I'll get some Sweet Tarts. That sounds hype. Are you joking with the 11th? No, the 11th is perfect because Ari's going to be gone that day. 11th, Saturday the 11th. Fuck it. I got no reason not to do this, I think. God, that sounds awesome. Okay. Are you still going to Korea if they lose? Fuck no. Fuck no, dude. No shot. I'm going to fly out to Korea to watch two Chinese teams play in the fucking Seoul library, dude. Yeah, sounds great. All right, well, then I'm going to end now, and I'm going to spend a little time with Ari. Sorry, I wish I had more of a plan for today's stream, but I did watch this. We like this if we react. House. It's 10:28. I would never do it at 10:28. Oh, we are in the middle of the video. Actually, I have 20 minutes. Let's watch a little bit more of this video if you don't mind. If you don't mind, I'm actually enjoying this video, and I forgot that it wasn't over. It got to the Dark Souls part.
Be impossible to scraping incline my way to
every video essay about gaming must inevitably have a 20-minute Dark Souls section. And I just assumed that was the end and we were just gonna because we've heard this.
Credits meant a lot to me. And I know this is not a unique occurrence. Almost everyone I've talked to about these titles who's fallen in love with them has gone through something similar. And a lot of the time, what they got out of it transcended the game itself. From helping people cope with depression and anxiety to teaching them that even when something seems impossible, it can still be overcome, these games have grown to mean so much more to people than just a way to spend their spare time. While it isn't the only factor, the unyielding nature of these titles is a big reason why people...
To be clear, I agree with all this. It's just that I've heard this. You know, this is something, I think we just recently watched a video essay that was like exactly this. And so it's like,
love them so much. And having a
I agree with
single
this totally.
set
It's just like
difficulty is
I've
part
heard
of
it,
what
so I've
makes
said
that
it. And it's,
possible. Of course, the consequence of being designed in this way is that it creates a skill window the player must fit within in order to stand a reasonable chance of enjoying the gameplay. As nice as it is to not spend time thinking about whether you chose the right setting or not, the trade-off is there's a chance you'll be questioning whether you are the right player for the game or not. When a title has a set difficulty that's on the more punishing side of things, by design, it will be less approachable than a game that has options, and some players just won't have the skill it takes to get through it. And that idea is daunting and can make it hard to want to engage with them in the first place. With that said, when it comes to a lot of titles that fall into this camp, like Dark Souls and pretty much everything else FromSoft has put out in the past 15 years, the skill needed in order to play and enjoy them isn't nearly as high as their reputation makes it out to be. Many people
agree with that, but also want to say, like, this is the dirty secret of it. And I guess I'll just be the fucking brave enough one to say it. And I don't like the people that are fucking difficulty gatekeeping weirdos online. But also, as human beings, we define this stuff in relation to other human beings. So the fact that some people can't beat it and don't like it and like get turned out and lose is what makes it satisfying. That's why we like to... when you beat it and then someone else can't, it makes you feel accomplished. If everybody beats it, then you don't feel... it doesn't feel like anything. So, you know, it's, I think some people take this way, way too far and they're assholes about it and they're weird and they're lame and they make the community worse. But also at some level, on some base level, if it wasn't hard enough to dissuade somebody, then it wouldn't be hard enough to be satisfying. That's how it works.
People do choose to play them in a way that requires high skill and proficiency, but aside from arguably Sekiro, FromSoft has always designed their games in a way that gives many different options to players so they aren't stuck with an approach that's not well suited for their skill set. It's just that these are chosen through the gameplay instead of an options menu. Looking at Dark Souls specifically, you don't need to just tackle it with a sword. There are solid ranged options as well as a ton of powerful spells, both of which allow players to keep distance from enemies while still being able to do damage. Most likely, neither will fully replace the need to engage
Sekiro was
in
fun.
combat, but using them will
Sekiro was
make it
fun
less
as shit.
frequent, letting the player stay out of harm's way more often. Using these mechanics doesn't make the game
Sekiro honestly makes me a little angry because it shows me that it's like it shows me what games could be. Like, imagine if there was like 100 games that had the polish and fucking level of craft that went into that. It's crazy. I mean, it's just such a good game. It's actually such a fucking good game. It's such a fun and good game that feels really polished and complete. I don't know. I thought that game was so great. And yeah, not many things are close.
Challenging, but as they don't
much like Fortnite. Yeah, the big two, Fortnite and Sekiro.
Require the same level of precision that fighting an enemy with just a sword does, they do make it possible for players that don't have a quick reaction skill set to find success. The most useful mechanic to help players overcome tough challenges, though, is the summoning system, which allows them to fight alongside NPCs or even other players. Having a summon does increase the health of bosses, but the vast majority of the time, that shift doesn't come close to outweighing the benefit that comes from having a partner. Playing with a summon fundamentally changes the dynamics of every encounter. It becomes less about fully learning a boss's moveset and more about capitalizing on the moments that their focus is on the other person. This doesn't lead to fights being mindless, but it does make it easier to find an opening to attack. NPC summons are available for many of the bosses, and player summons can be placed at pretty much any of them, so with enough luck, there will be an option to bring in some help. In general, I find this approach to be pretty cool, as it pushes players to discover what mechanics are best suited for them. Getting stuck is an opportunity for the player to assess all of the options at their disposal and utilize whatever ones will help them move forward. Or at least that's how it's supposed to work, but in reality, it isn't nearly that clean. Dark Souls doesn't do a whole lot to explain anything really, so for a first-time player it can be unclear how to engage with systems like magic and especially summoning. Neither is super complicated, and the game does do a handful of things to try to get players to stumble across how both work, but this approach makes them easy to overlook or even miss, causing new players to be far more likely to default to simpler options like melee. For many, the way they'll learn how these things work is by looking them up, which I don't think is entirely a bad thing, as the sharing of knowledge helps build community, and that has no doubt played a big role in Dark Dark Souls growing such a strong
It's
one.
funny that Dark Souls offloaded all of the tutorial mechanics and lore off to the internet. I just said we can't figure out how to make these fit in the game, so we'll just.
But also, it can be frustrating when mechanics
Let
that
you
would
guys
benefit a
figure
player
it out.
immensely either take a bit of luck or an external source to figure out. Also, as far as summoning goes, it relies on having humanity, which is a relatively scarce resource. So if a player runs out, they no longer can get assistance until they find more. Mix this with being susceptible to getting invaded when in human form, and it creates a bunch of hoops struggling players need to jump through to get the help they need. And some of those hoops just aren't very fun. Like, in order to be able to use summons consistently, struggling players will probably need to farm humanity, which sucks because killing these stupid rats over and over again is not compelling gameplay.
Is the compelling gameplay. The greatest thing you can do in any video game is kill level 1 rats en masse to farm something. They figured it out early, they figured it out often. Everyone knows that's the top of the pyramid of good game design.
But a decent amount of people will feel incentivized to do it anyway. And this is a major problem that comes from using
And they have to be
difficulty
rats.
as a way to incentivize engaging with the title's various mechanics. It can instead lead to unfortunate player behavior. When I think back to my first experience with Demon's Souls, as much as I find myself romanticizing it now, I didn't really find the moment-to-moment gameplay to be all that fun. I never got good at fighting, and I died so many times that I barely even had the option to use summons. So to get through the game, I did stuff like this, and this.
That stuff can be fun though.
I would grind the
that
same
shit can
group of
actually be
enemies
really
for far
fun.
too
It's
long
still
so that I could get
satisfying.
souls to level up and buy as many arrows as I could afford in order to cheese bosses. This isn't an invalid way to play Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, or any of the others, but
This is only unfun when someone tells you how to do it. But if you're a player and you're stuck on a boss and suddenly you find like a corner they can't hit you in, or a place you can shoot arrows and you beat them, it actually feels incredibly satisfying because it feels like you're being creative. Like you got one up on the developer. It's very cool. If it happens every single time, I could see it being annoying, but every time in my life that I've found something like this, it feels awesome. It feels really cool. It's like a unique thing. The only thing that sucks is when someone tells you, it's like, oh, just go to the corner and do this. Then you feel like it's fucking lame. Then it sucks all the joy out of it and you're just accomplishing a cheat. Yeah, so you kind of have to invent your own cheese for it to be fun.
as someone who has now beaten pretty much everything FromSoft has recently put out, I do think it is the least enjoyable approach. However, for some players, it will feel like the only approach, and depending on their skill, it might be. While I do like the Dark Souls design philosophy of presenting all players with the same challenge and giving them a wealth of gameplay options so they can find what works best for them, it does have the potential to create a disconnect between how a player wants to play and how they need.
Like sometimes when you're fighting a boss in a game, I'm trying to think of an example when I've done this. Like, you know, the classic example of you're fighting a boss near a ledge or something, and then something glitches or goes wrong and they fall off and die. Like you've been struggling on this boss, but this time they fall off and die and you get an instant win. It's like a huge hilarious moment. You laugh out loud. It's super funny. It's great. It's just emerging. Yeah, it's emergent gameplay. That's fucking awesome.
Need to play. Like, it's great that summons are an option, but as I said before, they do fundamentally change how boss fights work, and it leads to a much different experience than fighting them solo. There's nothing wrong with either approach, however, if a player prefers what combat feels like without having a summon, but gets completely stuck on every boss they try to take on alone, they'll kind of be forced into using one if they want to progress. And as using summons is so different, doing this won't really help them get better at fighting bosses alone, so it doesn't even act as a way to build up to a new challenge. On the other end of things, more skilled players who enjoy summons, whether it be for lore or gameplay reasons, may feel like they can't really use them without things getting too easy. Obviously, they can just do a second playthrough with summons that's less focused on the challenge, but I don't think it's ideal that they'll feel the need to ignore the mechanic on their first in order to maintain a certain level of difficulty. In FromSoft's pursuit of having everyone face the same challenge, players are pushed towards or away from certain mechanics largely because of their skill and not their preferred playstyle. Depending on what group they fall into, they'll have completely different.
I don't know if I agree with that because that implies that skill is like a fixed thing. I think the whole point, like all of the video essays about Dark Souls and all of the fucking good that it says it comes from the fact that people recognize, they wake up to the fact through a video game, that skill is not a fixed thing and it's something you can practice and improve. Like, I think that's the whole, I think that's the best thing the games have ever done for anybody, is that they've wakened them up to the fact that you can be bad at something, practice it, and then get good at it. And you can do that with anything in your life.
Experiences that don't really resemble each other in any notable way. I don't think this is inherently a bad thing. For many players, this approach will get...
Some people really don't want to grind a boss in an hour straight to beat a boss like you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, I have no problem with someone using summons or magic or whatever. I've never been a fucking gatekeeper. But I do think that is what... if there's any like real life beauty of these games, I think that's what it is.
Get them to engage with the game in the way that's best suited for them. But for others, it will make them feel like they're only left with bad options. Some players just won't have the skill to beat bosses alone without putting in far more time than the vast majority of people. So it makes a lot of sense to me why someone in that position...
All right, Atrioc, I put you on the main monitor now. You're welcome. Sorry for the pressure, though. All right, guys, let's kick into high gear. Let's kick it into high gear. We're on Digital Dylan's main monitor. Okay, we're going to need the best jokes from chat. Snappy, no more sitting around. I'm going to react as hard as I can.
Would want there to be multiple.
This is main monitor situation.
If they
Alert,
could drop
alert,
down
alert.
to a lower setting that, among other things, had them deal more damage and take less of it, they'd be able to
Less of
overcome
it?
bosses in a time frame that more closely resembles what it takes for the average player, while still
average
experiencing
player?
core gameplay of solo
What?
combat. And
More
technically,
like average glizzy. Dude, yes. Yes.
We truly live in an age of wonder.
I'm still high, real high. Kept it low without a pill high. Bill car, steady climbing to the hilltop. Tip top, did it all off of a TikTok. Yeah, last time I checked, I still that got it, did it on my own. Stay independent for you to get what I'm getting. It would probably take
Content. This is that main monitor energy, baby.
this is something people can do in Dark Souls. It just requires grinding, a solution that comes at the cost of the core gameplay loop, turning into a tedious waste of time. I know some people will say that these kinds of games just aren't for these kinds of players, but I don't think it's that simple. Not being good at something doesn't mean you can't love it. Feeling skilled out of a game you adore has to be frustrating, especially because there is so much more to these titles than them just being hard.
True.
And honestly, this is something FromSoft seems to be very conscious of based on how the design of their games has shifted over
Yeah, I think Elden Ring handled this really well.
This is best seen with Elden Ring, which pretty
okay.
effectively addresses some of the pain points that are common for less experienced players.
Yeah, like
And
Elden
in
Ring was,
typical FromSoft fashion, they even managed to do it without including traditional difficulty settings. Progress on the main quest is gated by a series of extremely difficult bosses, the first and
Pre-watched.
arguably harshest being Margit. Trying to take any of them on without being properly prepared will most likely lead to failure. So players are incentivized to explore the lands between to collect runes, weapons, and all sorts of other resources in order to get strong enough to take on the immense challenge of the mandatory bosses. The difficulty pushes them to engage with the open world, which is great, as it's Elden Ring's most interesting aspect.
Thank
There are
you.
so many things to do, and many of them are
Doesn't sound
manageable
fun to me.
challenges even for less skilled players. While some endeavors will be more rewarding for certain builds than others, players will almost always walk away with their character being stronger than they were before. The answer to getting stuck is to check out somewhere else, and this is a much more satisfying solution than grinding the same group of enemies over and over again. For those who struggle with these games but don't enjoy using summons, this gives them a way to still play on their own without spending time doing repetitive activities.
Yeah.
As for summons, Elden Ring adjusted how they work to make them far more reliable. NPC summons don't require the use of an item, so using them is always an option. Player summons are still tied to one, but it's so easy to get that it's rarely a barrier. And of course, Spirit Ashes can be used pretty much on every boss, and they offer a wide range of companions to choose from that can help with various challenges. They also can be upgraded, making them a...
I didn't end up using spirits, but I think the idea of having different kinds of spirits that are good at different things is cool, because then it becomes almost like there's some level of skill to it. You know, you don't just pick one thing and then slam it down mid the whole time. You like have some choices, which is kind of cool. I think they could have leaned into that even more. Like make them all slightly weaker, but have certain really unique strengths. So you could have some kind of like, so you get the mimic thing. Yeah, I never used that, but I understand that it was like broken. But But they nerfed it or something, right?
A very powerful part of the
Like
player's
Pokemon,
arsenal.
in a way.
All of this not only expands the skill window significantly, but it also gives players more viable and interesting ways to handle the challenge. Now, as much as I wish I could say that this is the perfect approach, unfortunately it does create some issues. Uncovering the secrets of the lands between was my favorite part of the game, so I wanted to do a ton of it. But as exploring had a direct correlation to my character's strength, that resulted in me getting over-leveled quickly. Enemies and bosses don't scale as you level up, which can make a lot of them become trivial. For the middle chunk of the game, I found everything I came across to be pretty easy.
I'm sorry for your problem here, but I don't care. And I mean that sincerely. I think scaling boss difficulty to your level is the worst fucking mechanic ever. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think it's the worst. To me, it's like the most fun sapping thing. If you're gonna over level, then things are gonna get easy, and that's fine. Like that's fine. The game should not balance around that, because everything feeling like this bland. I don't know. This fucking milk toast level artificial scaling sucks. You never feel stronger. You never feel weaker. Like there's two really fun emergent gameplay that happens when you don't have level scaling. Especially in an open world game. It's where you can wander into an area that you're not ready for and get your fucking ass kicked. And it's like, holy shit, this place is real. Like for story reasons, for lore reasons, it's cool to wander into a fucking cave or a volcano or something and get your fucking ass kicked. It's like, oh shit, this place is another level. I need to be ready. That's cool. And then the second thing is, whenever you fucking, at the end of the game and you're strong as shit and you've like been through all these journeys and you have these swords and you happen to walk back through the starting area and you just beat the shit out of everything, you're like, wow, I feel the power gap. I am so much stronger than I was before. You feel the growth. Scaling removes both of those scenarios. You'll walk into the fucking deep, dark volcano at the end of the game and everything's level 1 because you're level 1 and they're all fucking easy. That sucks. And you'll get super strong, come back to the town, like in Skyrim at the beginning, and everyone's wearing fucking diamond armor, the bandits. It's stupid. It's stupid. Like it destroys my immersion.
I was able to muscle through boss fights on my first try without having to learn how they work or even really be cautious. This put me in a spot where I felt like I had to choose between exploring and having things feel challenging.
The mithril armor bandits, yeah.
As those are my two favorite things about the game. One of my friends ran into a similar issue and actually decided to stop upgrading his main weapon so that things wouldn't get too easy. I thought about doing the same, but I ended up not, as I like the feeling of my character progressing. Seeing number go up is part of what motivates me, and choosing to opt out of certain upgrades would cause exploring to be a little pointless. While I wish I could explore stuff for the sake of exploring, I am very extrinsically motivated, so it just didn't seem like a good option. Also, trying to balance the difficulty by only upgrading things to a certain point starts to feel a lot like games with tons of difficulty options that can be adjusted, and just like with that, how am I supposed to know what the right balance will be? I know some people will say do whatever is the most fun, but I have no idea how to figure that out without spending a bunch of time testing stuff, and that's not what I wanted to do. Elden Ring is a much smoother experience than FromSoft's previous titles, but it still runs into the same issue that pretty much every game with a single set difficulty does, of players needing to moderate what systems they engage with if they want to have things be a proper challenge. And that's especially a bummer when one of those systems is the best part of the game. So what? Would adding difficulty options be a way to fix these issues? And I mean, yeah, they would fix a lot of them, but then there would be new ones that would be solved by not having difficulty options. The reality is, it's all kind of bad. There are problems with every approach, and it is unlikely that a game will ever feel perfectly balanced. Of course, in a lot of...
One thing I do want to say, though, while we're on this subject, is I am a personal hater of the leveling up your weapon mechanic in Souls-like games and any other game that does it. I think it fucking makes no sense to me. I hate it. I don't... It like actively discourages experimentation, and because it's so important to your damage, at some point, like, unless you're actively picking up all the little stones, I just don't get it. You already have a character level up thing. Why can't we just front load the damage to your strength stat and not to your... I don't understand why it needs to be in the weapon. I don't get it. I don't get why it needs a second level. I'm sure there's a game design reason, and I'm sure it has some benefits. But to me, I find it so annoying because I would love to experiment more. I like getting better gear, but even still, like, one thing Elden Ring kind of suffers with, this is a very small, minor nitpick, but like, once you have a weapon you like, exploring is so... The rewards in like a random chest are almost always useless. Like, you don't need many things. Like, all the shit you get is often... There's like a lot of empty shit they have to fill chests with that aren't that useful. And so it would be cool if instead there was more weapons. Almost like Borderlands, where I could find a rarer weapon that's kind of cool. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just not a fan of it. I don't know if I have a perfect solution to solve it, because I get why on some level it exists, but for me, I find it annoying.
Instances, it will be close enough. I do want to make it clear that the challenge of finding the perfect way to balance difficulty in video games is not an epidemic or anything that's severe, but it is a problem that lacks an ideal solution. And frankly, there is so much more to it than what I've covered here. This whole video looks at balance from the perspective of players wanting a challenge that feels suited for their skill level. But in reality, that's not what everyone wants. Some people love the power fantasy of decimating everything they come in contact with, and others like feeling powerless in whether or not what they do will help them succeed. Or at least I assume they do, otherwise I don't know why anyone would still be playing League. And on that note, there's a ton to be said about how to balance the difficulty of multiplayer games, because for someone to win, a different person has to lose. This is made more complicated by the fact that an evenly balanced lobby is not necessarily a fun lobby, as it can lead to a playstyle that is overly sweaty and disincentivizes doing anything outside the meta. But
So I thought about this as well. I'm solving all the problems today. So there's a real problem with people complain about skill-based matchmaking, where they feel they have to sweat every time because they're always placed against someone of their skill level, so they can never just swag out. And the solution, in secret, for some people, was for like them to create bot enemies, like in Fortnite. If they create bots, then you can swag out on them and they'll always be bad and you'll feel good until you realize they're bots, and then you feel like shit. The solution that I figured it out. Epic Games, instead of wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on the Epic Game Store, which is still unprofitable, just hires a bunch of people to be humans, join your game, and lose. Okay? A professional class of people who will play bad but not quit, so they don't churn out. Okay? So now everybody wins. Everybody, even the worst players, get to swag out on other human beings. Professional losers. And because the type of person that would take this job might be a professional loser in real life, we're giving them an employable job. We're creating jobs for real life losers to become professional losers, thus solving employment problems, purpose problems, and improving games. I swear to God, right now this system does exist. Riot uses it to find your teammates for Valorant and League. But I'm talking about expanding it to everyone, so you can actually use it to win instead of just lose. It's a great system, and I do think there's real potential in it.
Alternative means a certain chunk of players will just always lose, so who should be prioritized? Additionally, it's important to consider how accessibility fits in, as even though it's different from difficulty and the two should not be conflated, there is overlap between them. The goal of accessibility options is to address specific issues and barriers that exist for different disabled players, and in some cases that involves including settings that impact difficulty. So developers also have to consider how best to implement these features so that they are actually effective tools for those who need them. Ultimately, there are so many things to consider when balancing a game, and there will always be some downside to
solving your purpose problems. Imagine going up to someone and saying your purpose is to always lose. You're framing it bad. Let me market it a little different to you. Imagine if your job is to make someone's day every day. Someone just got off work, long shift. They're sitting down to play Call of Duty. They're stressed. All they want to do is boot up and get a nice kill streak. You are helping make that person's day. You get to join into their game and be a part of the experience that makes their day a little brighter. Now they smile because they had a good day. That's your job. You're basically a hero. Welcome to the professional loser queue. You sit here for 18 hours a day and we'll pay you minimum wage. That's my Jeff speech.
For whatever choice is made. There are just too many of us and we're too different for there to even be a chance. With that said, I think one of the best things developers can do is to make it clear to players what the intended experience is supposed to feel like. When they communicate their intentions, explain how different settings will impact the core experience, and at the very least give more specific descriptions than
you guys are getting paid.
Hard, it goes a long way with helping players figure out what will make sense for them. This is easier said than done for certain titles, as some games have pretty flexible intended experiences. But even then, the more the player knows, the easier it will be for them to choose what to go with. Personally, my favorite approach is when a game presents itself as having a single set difficulty, but whether it be through an assist mode or the accessibility options, also offers ways to shift things for those who need it. This approach makes it clear what the experience is supposed to be and challenges players of all skill levels to engage with it.
I'm saying nothing.
It gives people the ability to choose how they want to play.
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
When presented in this way, players will be less likely to use it on a whim and largely only turn to it when the alternative is quitting altogether.
I said nothing.
Of course, this approach has problems too. Like I said, they all do. It's impossible for things to not be a bit messy. Life is unbalanced, and so there will always be flaws with the difficulty of a game, and unfortunately that will get in the way of us being able to enjoy them at times. All we can really do is gravitate towards the approaches.
Wait, isn't Hades 2 like fucking soon? Is it this year? Why do I have in my mind that Hades launches November 30th? Am I stupid? That's not true, right? Hades 2 release date. Why is that in my mind? Okay, it's Q2 2024. Okay. Wow, I don't know. Crazy. I thought for sure.
Bother us the least, and hope that nothing too annoying gets in our way.
Was it supposed to be this year?
Why does your mic sound so bad?
Why do you care?
I'm the one who has to listen to it. You should think about getting something better like the mod mic.
This is an ad?
Ask me about the mod mic.
What's the mod?
The mod mic is a...
Check out the mod mic. It's amazing. Thank you, Rasputin, for the video. I'm going to go hang out with Ari. It is 11. That was an interesting and fun discussion. And his videos always prompt those. Thank you again. Thanks for watching. Back tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day to get in your entries for the Hitman contract competition. We are at record entry levels. So many diverse runs. Again, I've watched well over 100 now. Every one of them's different, which just blows my fucking mind, dude. Super, 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 super stoked to reveal this on Friday. Get your runs in if you got them. That's that. Have a great night. Have a great night. I guess I will run an ad on the way out. If you want to watch an ad to close out the stream, feel free. Otherwise, goodbye. Good night. Oh, wait. It's not even letting me run it. All right. Oh, it is in progress. Cool. This is where I talk to you guys for 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is where let's get real for a second. God, can we just fucking get real? Can we just relax? Oh, I'll rate a Spectacore. Rate a Spectacore after this. So, like, come on, bro. Love your vids, Big A. Thanks, Ark. Oh, I should have uploaded. I had a video to upload. I didn't upload. Shit. The strike video. What are you guys up to now? What are you doing next? You know, somebody answer. What are you doing the rest of the night? You working on something? Are you going to bed? Sleeping, studying, anime, Survivor, grinding Hitman. You're making a Ponzi scheme iceberg? How relatable. How relatable. Is it Punch's birthday? In an hour? Everyone, happy birthday, Punch. Happy birthday to Punch. Happy birthday to Punch. Happy birthday, dear Punch. Happy birthday to